Big news! The new Sprint LTE Plus network is faster than Verizon and AT&T based on analysis of a recent study by Nielsen. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to join Sprint for the biggest offer in U.S. wireless history. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Yep, you heard that right. No gimmicks, no tricks. You have Verizon 6 gigs for $60, $30 with Sprint. And if you have 15 gigs for $100 from AT&T, $50 with Sprint. Even if you have T-Mobile's 10 gigs for $80, we'll give it to you for $40. And we won't force you to watch video in low def. Oh, and one more thing. We'll even pay your switching fees up to $650 per line so you can switch to the Sprint LTE Plus network today. Visit a Sprint store or sprint.com/save 50%.
Offer coverage not available everywhere for discounted phones. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Subject to new line $36 activation fee. Credit valid port-in. Plans may not be exact match. See website for eligible plans. Offer ends 1/7/16. Savings through 1/8/18. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Contract valid via reward card requires online registration.
Blog Talk Radio.
Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Achad. Shalom, this is Brother Jason of the Hand of Yah Ministries, where the name of Yahuwah is proclaimed. And I want to thank Sal Showtime for allowing the Heavenly Father to use him and his show, Debate Talk for You, as a meeting place for people around the world to hear scriptural truth. If this show has been a blessing in your life as it has been in mine, send a donation to the ministry and support the work. Keep up the good work, Sal, and may Yahuwah bless us all.
Greatness attracts greatness. Talk with the Titans host here, Callum L., and you're now locked into Debate Talk for You Radio.
Shalom, shalom, Sal Showtime, and all the Debate Talk for You listening audience. This is Mikael Ben Yisrael, yours truly, coming straight out of Chi-Town. LG Love all day. This is the best show in the nation that brings the young conscious minds to awaken the dead. Keep doing your thing, Showtime. We're going to keep bringing in truth. In Jesus' name, the Mashiach. Shalom to all the nation of Israel.
I come to you today in peace.
Holy greetings to you all. This is Minister DeAndre from Heirs of the Promise Ministries. It's been a while since the Debate Talk for You audience has heard from me. That's because on this year, April 8th, 2015, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia, also called ALL. And also, I found out I had a chromosome called the Philadelphia chromosome, which meant I would have to have a stem cell bone marrow transplant. Well, through the Be the Match registry, worldwide registry, the doctors did find me a 100% unrelated donor, and I had that stem cell bone marrow transplant on July 18th of this year. And I'm proud to say, through the grace and mercy and healing power of the Most High, I am cancer-free. Hallelujah. Now I need you guys, the Debate Talk for You audience, to go to my GoFundMe account, gofundme.com/QZ4SEBVC. That's GoFundMe.com/QZ4SEBVC and give a donation, and I would appreciate it, your love and support. I'm looking forward to coming minister to you guys in the near future. Peace and blessings to you all.
Greetings from the I Love Being Black movement. We have the largest black Facebook page with over 6 million fans worldwide, and we're offering advertising options at affordable rates. If you want to increase your reach with loads of new fans, then this is absolutely the best way. We also offer seminars, consultations, and strategic planning services by Kumi Rose, aka the Social Strategist. Why not contact us today at ilovebeingblack.com or call us at 310-807-5775. Cheers.
Hello, everybody out there listening in. This is Brother LeVar, co-teacher of Absolute Bible Truth Ministry. First and foremost, I want to acknowledge and give reverence and credence to the Father of all creation, the Holy One of Israel. Peace and blessings in the name of our Lord and King, the Messiah, Jesus Christ. I want to take this great opportunity to invite you guys to the Absolute Bible Truth broadcast on Blog Talk Radio. If you love to hear the Word, or have any questions concerning the Word, call in and dial 646-716-8249. That's 646-716-8249. We are live on the air every Saturday, the Most High's weekly Sabbath, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to listen in via internet, type in www.blogtalkradio.com/Absolute Bible Truth. We also have a Facebook page. Just type in Absolute Bible Truth, all one word, in the search engine. At ABT, we teach the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth concerning the Word of God while leaving out all personal opinions, speculations, and beliefs. Our ministry believes emphatically that the Bible is indeed the absolute truth, and we pride ourselves in bringing forth the Word in a clear, intelligent fashion so that the body of Christ will be edified in abundance. I love you guys, pray our strength in Christ, and we will do the same for you. Shalom.
Peace, shalom, hotep, and greetings to you all. First and foremost, I want to say much love and respect and honor to Brother Sal for giving me the opportunity to post an ad on his show. I'm a graphic designer who goes by two names, and those names are Etheric Designs and Epic Designs. Now, these names are spelled differently from what you would think by the sound of them. Etheric is spelled E-T-H-E-R-I-C. Designs with a Z, as in D-E-Z-I-G-N-S. For Epic Designs, there will be E-P-I-K-D-E-Z-I-G-N-S. The works I mainly deal with are album covers, ebook covers, flyers, posters, and Vexel logos. I really don't like to put a limit on what it is I can do. So if I listed something that you do not have in mind, you can always contact me via Facebook, which will be at John Etheric Designs Washington, spelled as I stated before. Or you can email me directly, which is at epicdesigns@gmail.com. Remember, Epic is spelled E-P-I-K-D-E-Z-I-G-N-S @gmail.com, and we can discuss whatever crazy idea you may have, a unique idea you may have, or just simply different idea you may have that I have not listed. And I look forward to talking to you. Peace.
All praises, all honor, all glory to the supreme intellect of the universe. This is Nasi Yashuvel of Shomrei HaTorah in Atlanta. And if I'm not reading my Torah or suplexing some false deity, I'm listening to my man, Sal Showtime, and Debate Talk for You Radio. Beautiful. Keep doing the good work, brother, bringing forth the information and spreading that love.
That dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio. You are now inside the Lion's Den. Welcome to Debate Talk for You Radio.
This is Renald Francoeur representing from Atlanta, Georgia. And when I'm not busy in the studio, I'm checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Keep up the great work, Sal Showtime.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Welcome to another show. You're now listening to Season 6 of Debate Talk for You Radio. I'm your host, Sal Showtime. Welcome, everybody, to the Lion's Den. That's right. Tonight you're inside the Lion's Den where we have the best debates in the world via internet, and we have the best special guests to bring forth the information to the masses that tune in to Debate Talk Radio. We appreciate you being here live, and of course, I want to thank all those people that call in 10 minutes, 15 minutes ahead of time, is waiting for Debate Talk to come on the air. We appreciate all the dedicated listeners across the globe listening via phone and via Skype. We appreciate you being here live tonight on Debate Talk Radio. Of course, all the international listeners out there overseas are checking out the show, and even to my surprise, we have people waking up early in the morning checking out Debate Talk Radio, real early, taking down their notes all across the globe. So we appreciate you guys as actually waking up and taking down your notes and calling in, checking out Debate Talk overseas. And of course, everybody on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, checking out the show. Like I always say, if you're inside a group on Facebook, do me a favor, share to your personal page. Let people know that Debate Talk for You is back and live on the air, and they can dial that number later on with their questions and their comments. The number is 646-716-7320. All you got to do is press number 1, and we'll add you in the conversation later on during the public Q&A. Remember, when you call in, there's no foul language, though. You got to keep it clean, keep it professional. We have people listening with their elderly and with their children, with their families. So we got to keep it clean out here at Debate Talk Radio. Today's debate is entitled, "Is the Earth a Globe According to the Bible?" Once again, today's debate is entitled, "Is the Earth a Globe According to the Bible?" And it's the first time we're doing this particular topic. And actually, there's audience out there that want to hear this topic on, the globe, is the Earth a globe, and is it according to the Bible? So we have a lot of people out here that actually want to hear this particular topic. So make sure you get your pen and pads ready. Make sure you call in and participate. It's all about crowd participation. By the way, we got the chat room officially open, guys. You want to gain access to the chat room? All you got to do is go to blogtalkradio.com/debate talk for you. Click on the show, "Is the Earth a Globe According to the Bible?" And when you scroll down at the bottom, you're going to see like a little box there where you interact with me or the people that's inside the chat room. And we're going to be taking questions from the chat room as well. So if you're the shy type and don't like to let your voice be heard, you just want to type in your question, you can do that inside the chat room, and I'll read it out loud to my special guest that's here tonight. Before I introduce my special guest, you already know I got to go through a few brief announcements. As usual, send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. That's debatetalk, the number 4, and letter U @gmail.com. Go to facebook.com/debatetalkforyou. That's facebook.com/debatetalkforyou. You can download the show via iTunes. Go to the podcast section and type in the search box Debate Talk, the number 4, and letter U, and you'll see the show absolutely free. Subscribe. You can check it out and go take it to the gym with you, inside your car, while you're taking a walk. Check out Debate Talk Radio and download it to your iPad, your iPhone, your Android, whatever phone you have, your Galaxy, and just take it with you anywhere. Never miss another episode. So again, support the brand. Go subscribe today. It's for absolutely free, and to support the brand, and click on that subscribe button, and go to the iTunes podcast today. Go to Instagram.com/Debate Talk for You. Shout out to the YouTube family out there that's slowly growing, slowly but surely. We appreciate the people out there on the YouTube family, the YouTube world, that's been checking out the show and subscribing and sharing and letting people know about Debate Talk Radio. We've been playing up some videos, actually started from this summer on YouTube, a lot of videos, and we have a slowly but surely growing audience out there in the YouTube family. So we appreciate the YouTube audience out there that's spreading awareness of Debate Talk Radio. I'll go to Twitter.com/Showtime DT4U. That's Showtime, D as in David, T as in Tom, number 4, and letter U. Excuse me. Those of you who want to see the Lions Den debate live in the summer of 2016, we're going to need your support. We're going to need your help making that happen. So without the people, without the people's support, it won't be able to happen, y'all. We need you. We believe that the people's going to support this. If you want to see this happen, go to the website, www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. We want to do this next summer, 2016. And, it's the only way we can make this happen is by the people backing us up. So we want to make sure it's real professional with the cameras. We want to have the live live stream going on. We're going to have, of course, music, people that's going to be, the vendors going to be there, things of that nature. We're going to have everything done professionally and have people entertained as well as edified in a live event. So we want to get that live Lions Den event going. We're going to need the support of the people out there to make that happen. Once again, go to www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. For the first-time listeners, welcome to the show, guys. We have many different segments on Debate Talk for You Radio. Hopefully you go to the Blog Talk site and check it out and subscribe. Keep in mind, I have a variety of special guests on the show, so whatever information you hear, make sure you take notes and do your own independent research just to make sure the information is accurate. Feel free to call in live. You must hold our elders, teachers, and scholars accountable. This is a family show, so remember, there's no foul language and keep the name calling to a minimum. The views and opinions expressed on all segments broadcasted on Blog Talk Radio are entirely those of the special guests and does not in any way reflect the opinions of the Debate Talk for You host. We're going to jump right into this show, right, guys. Let's see if my special guests are here. I believe they are here tonight. And both my special guests actually are, it's going to be the first time stepping inside the Lions Den. One of them has been a guest before as far as teaching and being in the roundtable segments. I believe this is my brother right here. This is Tazapanya. Welcome to the show.
What's going on, Sal, man? It's good to be here, man. What's going on?
What's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Are you ready, man? You ready tonight, man?
Yeah, man. You know, always come prepared.
I feel you, man. I feel you, my brother. All right, that's my brother right there representing live on Debate Talk Radio. And we have another special guest. This is actually his first time here, you know, on the show, period. It's my brother, Ahmawar. How you doing, my brother? Welcome to the show. Open up his phone line. Are you there?
Shalom, shalom. What's going on, sir?
Not much, man. You know, we just here waiting for you to bring out the information. You know, we appreciate you being here. Anything you want to say to the people before we begin?
All I want to say is, man, just get ready for the truth to be revealed. That's all I want to say.
We appreciate you, brother, being here live, Debate Talk Radio. I see we got more and more people calling in. Welcome to the show. All right, so we're going to get this thing started. But before we begin, of course, I got to go through the debate format. We're going to start off with an opening statement that's going to be 12 minutes each. Once we get to the 2-minute mark, you're going to hear this sound. That means there's 2 minutes left for your time. And once your time is totally up, you're going to hear this sound. That means your time is up. After that, we're going to go to the first rebuttal. That's going to be 10 minutes each. And we're going to go to the second rebuttal. That's going to be 8 minutes each. Third rebuttal, 8 minutes each. After that, we're going to go to the cross-examination part of this debate. Each person has prepared several questions to ask one another. Due to time constraints, the maximum amount of time to answer a question will be 1 minute. Once again, you have 1 minute to answer the question. Once the 1 minute is up, you're going to hear this sound. That means your 1 minute is up. It's time to go to the next question. You know, the person that's asking the question will do a brief rebuttal, but go into your next question right after that. In the process of asking your questions or answering the question, please make it brief. The person on the receiving side being asked questions, please save your questions for when it's your cross-examination time. Of course, there's no foul language. Keep it clean, keep it professional. Please speak one person at a time so the listening audience and I can gain full understanding. I repeat, please speak one person at a time so the listening audience and I can gain full understanding. After that, we're going to take an 8-minute intermission break with the brothers relax for a while, you know, a little relaxation time. And after that, we're going to go to the public Q&A, my favorite part of the show, where you, the listening audience, could call in with your questions and your comments live. Once again, that number is 646-716-7320. I'm going to be repeating that number all over and over again so you won't forget that. You know, once again, just call that number, then press number 1, and we'll add you in live. As a matter of fact, as always, people press number 1 way in advance that know the show. A lot of people are going to be asking questions, so if you know you're going to have a question and you want to make sure your voice is heard, you can press number 1 right now and just stand by for the public Q&A. If not, you can take your chances and wait later on during the public Q&A segment. Hopefully, we'll hear from you. And once again, that goes for the listening audience as well. No foul language. Keep it clean. Keep it professional. Keep your comments brief through the high volume of callers, and everyone has a limited time to ask a question unless I believe the dialogue is needed for edification purposes. And, of course, finally, we're going to have the final statements. That's going to be 7 minutes each. Just a reminder, when you're inside the Lion's Den, be prepared to answer any and all questions. Keep in mind that your lack of making your answers clear or not answering questions may affect your credibility. Once inside the Lion's Den, please, no excuses during the debating process. You must earn your respect. As a matter of fact, that's one of our slogans right there. You got to earn your respect. Respect's earned, not given. Remember, it's not about winners or losers. It's all about the people learning from the information you provide. I want to inform both special guests that the Lion's Den has been created for us to settle all things right here in a professional setting. Let's not lose respect by taking things personal inside or outside of the forum, via social media, email, etc. And here at Debate Talk for You Radio, we do not encourage our opponents to boast in any way, shape, or form. We have a listening audience seeking credible information for edification purposes. We should all maintain our integrity and leave the Lion's Den tonight with honor and a level of respect. With that being said, let's get this thing started. I believe my brother Tazapanya is going to start this debate. You know, I had so many debates this week, I kind of forgot. I'm going to open up his line. Was it you, brother, that's going to start? You're going to start the debate, right?
Con, I got it.
All right, cool. There we go. So we're going to get this thing started. You can go ahead, brother.
All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But before I get into what I'm going to bring out tonight, I just want to do a disclaimer to the listening audience or those listening in that may have not heard about the theory of the earth being a globe or the theory of the earth being flat. So, and there's also people listening in that are on the fence concerning this topic. So I want them to really take key into what both sides are saying and see if they can find out if any of the doctrine is hypocrisy. All right, so from my perspective, you know, our eyes and our personal experiences that we've had in our entire lives point to the fact that the earth is stationary, flat, motionless, whatever you want to call it. It also points that everything in the sky revolves around us and not the other way around. You have movies, you have television, you have magazines, you even have the education system. Ever since we were a little kid, when we learned what 1 + 1 was, that globe sat on your teacher's desk through books, through pamphlets, through toys, and mainly through government organizations like NASA. You know, they have played a key role in indoctrinating and conditioning the world to believe in these damnable heresies, you know, that the earth is a sphere. And real quick, I just want to bring out a little science. According to what's widely accepted in the world, that the earth is a sphere, that not only is it a sphere, it's a spinning sphere, that it's a planet, you know, that the water is somehow kept perfectly symmetrical, you know, by a special force called gravity. You know, even the claim that the earth is millions of years old, you know, that each star you see outside at night is a sun, and it has other planets that rotate around it, and it's a part of the Milky Way. You know, the whole logic of the earth being the third rock from the sun, you know, it spins 1,000 miles per hour, while in unison it rotates around the sun with the other 11 planets at 67,000 miles per hour. The sun itself is spiraling through the Milky Way galaxy 500,000 miles per hour, and the Milky Way galaxy itself is supposedly it's expanding into black space at 670 million miles per hour. You know, all of this is widely accepted science, and this type of indoctrination has bugged out many people. It has led people to become atheists, even on a broad sense. It's led people into believing in a so-called Big Bang, you know, regardless of whether they believe in the Bible or not, you know, which is basically accepting heliocentrism. And heliocentrism basically is the belief that the earth and the planets revolve around the sun and that the sun is the center of the universe. And, you know, in me subscribing to what the scriptures speak of, it speaks of geocentrism, which depicts the earth as being the center of the universe. And for the record, there are no globe geocentric models of the earth. You know, the globe is exclusive to heliocentrism. So I really want everybody to key in on terminology and the consistency of what people are saying throughout this debate. The globe alone has opened the door to many ideologies. To believe the earth is a globe you have to accept many ideologies. And mainly from the world perspective, the globe has opened the door to evolution. You see, if there's no globe, no Big Bang, no evolution. All right. This whole globe Earth paradigm has gave birth to a form of spirituality today that has indoctrinated people, and including our own people. And on a broad perspective, before I key in on the focus of this debate, the Earth being a globe has pretty much controlled humanity because it basically removes the Most High and his intelligent design. It replaces purposeful divine creation with unplanned cosmic coincidences. You know, by removing the Earth as flat, stationary, the center of the universe, you know, the powers that be, you know, we know them as Edomites, have not only moved us physically, but metaphysically from a place of supreme importance to a standpoint which is meaningless, which is demonic, and at the same time, it's led people to reject moral principles, and it's led people to adopt beliefs that, you know, life itself is pointless. You know, now today, if somebody says the Earth is the center of the universe, it's immediately outweighed, you know, by the indoctrination of the globe theory, you know, due to how deep somebody has been conditioned. You know, and this isn't even directed towards my opponent yet, but to the masses who are on the fence concerning this topic or who haven't even gave ear to this topic. Because quite frank, if the Earth is a globe and you have to accept all the ideologies that come with the Earth being a globe, then, you know, the ideas of creation and the purpose for human existence is not only unattractive, but it's uninteresting. But if I'm pushing that, you know, in saying with my mouth that I believe in the scriptures, you know, this is accepting and adhering to the secret conditioning and indoctrinating our population into a scientific, materialistic form of sun worship. You know, not only do we lose faith in stuff beyond the material, but we gain faith in materiality. We gain faith in status. We gain faith in selfishness. We gain faith in seeking the pursuit of pleasure. You know, then the claim that can be made is that there's no God because everybody here is just an accident. You know, then if that's the case, then all that matters is me. But just think about if the Earth is just one of billions of planets, you know, revolving around billions of stars and billions of galaxies, you know, then the ideas of a creator, you know, the Most High, and a purpose for human existence on Earth, you know, becomes questionable, it becomes debatable, and it becomes unlikely. But if you would place the Earth as a flat, fixed center of the universe around which everything in the sky and the heavens revolves around, that would denote a special importance and significance to the Earth, you know, to the total population, and, you know, especially, you know, the children of Israel. You know, but by turning the Earth into a spinning ball thrown around the sun and shotting through the space from a meaningless Big Bang, you know, then the powers that be have turned humanity into a random meaningless accident of some sort. You know, and that's purely indoctrination and a form of mind control, because we've basically withdrawn from the simplicity that's in the scriptures, you know, to a mass amount of mental manipulations. So that's my disclaimer to the listening audience. But I'm about to go into a lot of scriptures to make my side. So I might not finish my portion of scriptures now, but I'll finish in my second round. All right, so first I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 12. All right, it says, "And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." All right, Revelation 7 and 1. "And after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, nor any tree." This is Revelation chapter 20, verse 8. It says, "And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth, Gog and Magog." So basically, what I want to show people is four corners right here. All right, you cannot have corners on a sphere, on a globe, you know. So these scriptures aren't talking about a globe. All right, brothers like to use Isaiah the 40th chapter, verse 22, and immediately reference the word sphere with a circle. But they don't look up the Hebrew word for corner, but they quick to look up the Hebrew word for circle. The Hebrew word for corner is Strong's H3671, which means a wing, a corner, an edge, an extremity. And a globe has neither of those qualities. A globe doesn't have an edge, and it doesn't have corners, no wings, nor extremities, because the earth isn't a globe. All right, we can move to 1 Chronicles, the 16th chapter, verse 30. All right, it says, "Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved." Psalms chapter 96, verse 10. It says, "Say among the heathen that the Lord reigns. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously." Psalms chapter 93 and 1. "The Lord reigneth. He is clothed with majesty. The Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world also is established, that it cannot be moved." All right, so from these three scriptures, the earth isn't spinning, and it isn't moving around the sun either. You know, our universe is geocentric. This is 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 8. All right, it says, "He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among princes, and to make them inherit the throne of the glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them." Job chapter 9, verse 6, "Which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble." Psalm chapter 75, verse 3, "The earth and all the inhabitants thereof are dissolved. I bear up the pillars of it." All right, there's nothing about a globe, a ball-shaped earth, that you can fit pillars into. You know, that's because the earth is not a ball. And the pillars that the scriptures are speaking of point to the flat earth. So at this point right here, I'm going to stop because the section I'm bringing into is broader. But keep in mind that the scriptures talked about the four corners of the earth, that the earth sits on pillars, and that the earth is stationary. These are all attributes of geocentric earth. All right? The globe is not a part of geocentrism. The globe is part of heliocentrism. All right? So with that, I'm going to rest and let my opponent take over. And when he's done, I'll continue.
All right, people, once again, it's Debate Talk View Radio. The number is 646-716-7320. Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? My special guest is Tazapanya versus Ahmawar. So we're going to go to Brother Ahmawar right now. Once again, it's 12 minutes each for the opening statement. We'll open up his phone line, and go ahead.
All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You know, honest to all the elders out there, all the apostles, all the men that's rooted well in this truth. I also want to give a shout out to my brothers, you know, all my brothers, Banya Sha'ala, you know, the brothers that I'm building with right now. I also want to give a shout out to the brothers out in, well, basically they have a base out in Manhattan, you know, YAG. Yeah, God. Shout out to the brother Yawasop. He a real brother about unity. So now to this debate, the brother Tazapanya, he come off real appealing because when he breaks down the scriptures, it makes it seem as if it's really talking about a flat earth. But what he's not breaking down to you is the actual context that those scriptures are speaking about, and I will get into those breakdowns in a moment. But first, I want to start with this concept that he brought up. He said he brought up Isaiah 11 and 12, also Revelation 7 and 1. I mean, if this is talking about a flat earth, why are you also going to Isaiah 40 and 22 and Isaiah 20 and 18? Which is talking about a circle. Like, it's like a contradiction within the doctrine itself. So now, really, the real problem with this whole flat Earth doctrine is that is not really based on an ancient belief. Really, this doctrine is a modern belief, so to say. Now, when you look into the doctrine itself, it streams from a man who calls himself Parallax. He named himself Parallax after some sort of a sexual dispute. Some I don't have too much information on that, but his real name is Samuel Rebotham. Now you can look this man up, Samuel Rebotham. He was a member of the Owenite. It's crazy. It's Owenism. You can look it up yourself. It's like a society that's designed for radical reform. Like they live. It's almost like a complete secret society. So you really can't just stream away from you really can't just stream away from the idea that this is a radical belief, man. Like he as it says, like if you look into the Owenites, they were every definition will give you a radical reform society. So you're not going to get anything different. They just wanted to reform everything. So now, this man right here, he created what I call the Bible to this flat Earth theory, and it's called the Zetetic astronomy. True, basically everything that Tazapanya is going to bring forth to you comes from this book. He's not going to bring you anything that doesn't come from this book, and if it does stray away, it's from one of his understudies, like for example William Carpenter, who was a man who was actually a Christian, a part of why this doctrine is a part of the Israelite belief. Because men like him, they push this belief into our ideology through saying, look, this is what the ancients believe. Even though we have to take into account that at one time the Tower of Babel was established. Now, when you look at the ancients and you go into Genesis 11, that's a whole nother topic I'm going to get into. But now I'm going to just zero in on Samuel Rebotham right now. So now Samuel Rebotham, with his book Zetetic Astronomy, I'm going to go straight to, because I have the book, I'm going to go straight. As a matter of fact, I'll start off with his index to his book. So now I want to read a part to the index of his book, and it says, I advise all my readers who have become zetetic not to be content anything less than this. Not to be content with anything less than this, and also not to look with disfavor upon objections for their opponents. Should such objections be well, even plausibly founded. So now, why is he saying this in a prefix? Because around the time in his Owenist background, his credibility was flawed. Basically, when we go into the history of this man, I'll pull up a little bio on this man, Samuel Rebotham. He started out as an organizer of an Owenite commune in the Fens. Now that's in East England. So basically, it's around it. When you look at the time frame of this man, which was from 1816 to 1884, you know this is around the time when secret societies was big. Part of the reason why he was a part of the reason why the Owenite community should be such a big question mark to anybody who's a part of this flat Earth theory. So now I'm going back to his a little insert on his biography. Where he first observed the strange phenomenon of the Bedford level that led to his theories about the Earth. Following allegations of sexual misconduct, he reinvented himself as an itinerant lecturer under the name Parallax. So that's what I was getting into earlier. Basically, he had to reinvent himself so that he could be more appealing. Now, when you get a little more into this man's life, basically you see he ran from debate until the point where he actually become more flat Earth, and which he based on basically thin air, and that's what I'm going to show you from this book. So now, the first thing I want to pull up from this book, dealing with the true distance of the sun. Now I'm gonna go to chapter 5. You could find this yourself. You can just Google up Samuel Botham, Zetetic Astronomy. Go to sacredtext.com, and the whole book will pop up. It's 430 pages long. Well, it's 430 plus. So you could pull it up yourself. This is not hard for anybody to find. But I want to zero in right now is one of his chapters, the 5, and this page 99 through 104, and starting on page 102, his mathematics is completely off. So now this man, as a matter of fact, I'll read. So now he have a image where he conducts an experiment from a lighthouse, and it's all based. So now when you look at his method, it's completely flawed. So now I'll start reading from page 102. The illusion given above have reference to a fixed object, but the sun is not fixed. So now when we read this from the beginning, we know the sun is not fixed. The illusion that he's given is from a fixed object. We know that this is true. And now I'm going to continue reading. And therefore, a modification of the process, but involving the same principle, must be adopted. Why must we adopt the same principle? Like, it's a lot of questions with this book. I'm going to continue reading. Triangle and plumb line represented in figure 57. That's the figure that is showing. That instrument with a gratitude of must be employed, and 2 observers, one at each end of a north and south base of the line. So basically, this is just describing the figure. So now you have like the light pole where you have 2 different figures at different locations. Now, basically, to sum it up real quick, he does a mathematical equation where he's trying to assume that the sun is a certain distance based upon whatever he was measuring. Now, my first question would be, how do you know how big the sun is? In order for you to accurately measure the distance from where you are to the sun, you have to at first know the size of the sun. Nobody measures any object when it comes to distance and say, yeah, the ball that's a size of, let's say, a ball that's 5 inches in diameter. You know, it has a certain distance to it where you just would be able to understand, like, that's the size of it. It's X amount far away, because the equation that you use is not hard. It's not hard to understand that it's not hard to understand that you have to know the size of the sun first before you actually want to measure it. So now, when you go through another aspect, when you go through what's this page? So I'm trying to just hurry up and get through this because my time is limited. I got so much information through this book. It's just baffling. Well, as a matter of fact, you know what? I'll reserve the rest of my time right now because it's just a lot of information I'm trying to get through, and I'll collect myself way better in the next round, and I'll present myself way better in the next round, and that's all I can say for right now. It's just a lot right now.
All right, once again, people, this is Debate Talk U Radio. The number is 646-716-7320. Remember, you can call in later on with your questions and your comments on this debate. Is the earth a globe according to the Bible? We want to hear from you guys later on. Just a reminder, guys, the very last show for this year, Debate Talk for You, is going to happen next Monday, Monday coming up. Let me see the date on that. That's December 21st. It's going to be the final show for 2015. We have a debate lined up, though, for that particular day. We got to have Israel Doctrine versus Rob Rack right here on Debate Talk for You Radio. The topic of debate: Jesus the Christ according to the biblical text. Once again, the topic of debate: Jesus the Christ according to biblical text. Again, we're going to have Israel Doctrine here versus Rob Rack. Rob Rack is going to be his first time on Debate Talk Radio. You don't want to miss that show. We're going to come back on the air January 14, 2016, and we're going to have the big debate between Brother Josh and Ankh from the Ahmawar Squad. Does the Bible God hate Africans as Egyptologists claim? Does the Bible God hate Africans as Egyptologists claim? You don't want to miss the world premiere, the 2016 version of Debate Talk Radio, the big lines in debate between Brother Josh and Ankh. And actually, I have another debate lined up the very next day on January 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 2016, between Amen Su 10 versus Judah Nat Zara. And the topic of that debate: Egypt Mystery System versus Torah. Egypt Mystery System versus Torah. So we got a lot of things lined up for next year, 2016. And again, remember, next Monday is going to be the last debate for the year. So make sure you tune in to Debate Talk Radio. But let's go back to this particular debate. Is the earth a globe according to the Bible? Again, the number is 646-716-7320. Let's go back to Tazapanya. We're going to go to the first rebuttal. That's going to be 10 minutes each. Open up his phone line and go ahead.
All right, I'm back in this thing. All right, man. So basically, like I said before, key into what people say, man, because it'll come back to bite them. So what this brother just said is that no ancient cosmology talks about a flat Earth, and he directed William Carpenter. He directed to the Zetic book or whatever, which I'm familiar with. But what this brother doesn't know is, before I get into ancient cosmology is science concerning the origin and the development of a universe. So basically, the concept of a spherical Earth dates back around to the 6th century, when it was mentioned in ancient Greek philosophy. All right, but it remained a matter of philosophical speculation until the 3rd century BC, when Hellenistic astronomy established the spherical shape of the Earth as physical given. All right, this is found in a book called Early Greek Astronomy to Aristotle. All right, the concept of a spherical Earth displaced earlier beliefs in a flat Earth. In early Mesopotamian mythology, the world was portrayed as a flat disk floating in the ocean, surrounded by a spherical sky. All right, let me get you this ancient cosmology according to different cultures, which you can look up yourself. In ancient India, all right, it was believed that the Earth is a circular disk surrounded by the ocean. In the center of the world is a great mountain. The sun goes around this mountain once a day, and even the sun goes behind the western side of the mountain. It travels behind the mountain at night, and it comes out on the eastern side in the morning. All right, this is ancient Indian cosmology, proving that the Earth was a circular disk. Ancient Chinese cosmology. Chinese people believe the sky is a round dome surrounding a flat, square-shaped Earth. The ocean goes all around the Earth. The sun travels in a big tilted circle. At night, the sun is not on the Earth, but rather on the side of the Earth. All right, right here is another ancient Chinese culture believing in sky dome. All right, Indian believed that the Earth was a flat disk. All right, the ancient Egyptians believed the Earth was flat. The sky is like a flat plate supported at 4 places by mountains. The sun is carried across the sky in a boat from east to west. At night, the sun is carried back to the east through the underworld. All right, even ancient Sumerian and Babylonian civilizations, their belief in a flat Earth was common. All right, and you can look up ancient flat Earth cosmology. All right, that the Sumerians depicted the sun moving across the sky each day and the Earth being a flat disk. All right, the Babylonian universe, if you look this up, is documented, was shaped like a modern dome stadium. All right, the Babylonians themselves considered the Earth flat. All right, with a continental mass surrounded by the ocean. All right, the vault of the sky was a physical object. All right, resting upon the ocean's water and perhaps upon pillars. This is all documented in ancient cosmology. So when you talk about the flat Earth being brought in the 1800s by some white men, that's asinine, because when you get into ancient cultures, they believed in the flat Earth. They did not believe in those spherical Earth. All right. So back to my scriptures as I was dealing with. All right, so this is in reference to the firmament. Okay, so I'm at Isaiah chapter 24, verse 18. It says, and it shall come to pass that he who flees from the noise of fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in a snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 13. I therefore will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. Genesis chapter 1, verse 6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the water, and let it divide the waters from the waters. All right, so according to the Bible, there's a dome over the earth, which separates it from the waters above the dome. All right, and in the Strong Concordance, it describes the word firmament, which you can look up right now, H7549. That's H7549, as a solid expanse. And it even gets more better. All right, it says the firmament of heaven spread out like a hemisphere above the earth. All right, the firmament of heaven is spread out like a hemisphere above the earth. This is in your Strong Concordance, guys. Like a hemisphere. Does everybody know what a hemisphere? A hemisphere, by definition, is a half of a sphere. So Ahmawar would have to explain to me how half of a sphere can spread out over the entire earth that's supposedly a full globe. All right, but I'll come back to that later. But as far as this half of a sphere, which it says hemisphere in the Hebrew, it's a solid dome structure that's mentioned in Genesis. This is why all the celestials and stars in the sky are fixed to the solid firmament, you know. And it's even documented how the stars spiral in space, which shows consistency of a stationary Earth, and the sky is moving and not us. The Earth is stationary. All right? These celestials are fixed into that firmament that the whole thing rotates together as like one set piece. All right? You can only have a solid dome separating the waters above from the waters and the seas below on a flat earth with the atmosphere in the middle. All right, so we have to really contextualize these scriptures and these strong concordance. Isaiah 40th chapter, when you go into Hebrew, is not the end-all, be-all. You have to contextualize these scriptures. This is Isaiah chapter 44, verse 24. And, you know, it may seem that I'm taking scriptures here and there, but at the end of the day, the scriptures is pointing out a picture. Christ is not going to speak in a parable of him eating a pork chop. Okay, but he's found in Matthew the 25th chapter speaking a parable of him in a polygamous union with women in reference to him in the church. So that's not asinine to believe that the scriptures are pointing to the earth being flat. All right, it's not going to use something out of context in the scriptures. All right, so Isaiah 44 and 24, it says, thus saith the Lord thy Redeemer, and he that formed thee at the womb. I am the Lord that maketh all things, that stretcheth forth the heavens alone, that spreadeth abroad the earth by myself. You cannot spread out the earth by rolling it into a ball or an oblate spheroid. All right, that's foolishness. All right, Psalms chapter 18, verse 9. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 10. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. Now, bowed in the Hebrew is Strong's H5186. H5186. It means to stretch out, extend, to bend. All right? The heavens bend around us as a domed hemisphere on top of a flat earth. All right? This is validated in the scriptures. All right? There's over 60 scriptures in the Bible referencing to the sun moving. All right? And the earth being stationary, all right? Genesis 15 and 12, for example, where it says, and when the sun was going down. Now, I don't want to bring out all these scriptures about the sun moving because it's redundant, but there's over 60 scriptures in the Bible that point to the earth being stationary and the sun moving, all right? So with that, let me go to Colossians chapter 2, verse 8. It says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ. All right? A ball-shaped earth is wisdom to the people of the earth, who get their wisdom from TV and these damn indoctrinated educational systems. All right? 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20. All right? Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust. Avoid profane and vain babbling and oppositions of science falsely so-called. All right? First Colossians 3:19. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High. For it is written, he taketh the wise into their own craftiness. All right, so it says, beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, and oppositions of science falsely. All right, for the wisdom of the world is foolishness with the Most High. Wisdom of a globe, being a ball, is literally foolishness with the Most High. All right, true wisdom isn't taught in the damn education systems. All right, true wisdom is found when you carefully weigh out the odds and not just be subjugated to what society accepts as standard. All right, them people that believe in the globe are more likely to believe that who the world calls Jesus Christ is a damn white man. All right, but we just supposed to grasp the world being a globe and just go with the flow when we cannot prove this. When technology is so advanced to where they so-called land on the moon in 1971, and it's been 45 years, but yet we still think the earth is a globe. All right, we got to wake up out of this indoctrination. The Most High tells you in the scripture that wisdom of the world is foolishness with the Most High. So why are we trying to make the wisdom of the world with the scriptures? All right, it's redundant. All right, with that, I rest, and I'm ready and eager to get back on this mic.
Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? Once again, it's Debate Talk Radio. Let's go to Ahmawar right now with his first rebuttal. And let me open up his phone line. 10 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. Basically what Tazapanya just did to y'all was, with all the scriptures that he was bringing up, was feeding you a doctrine that is fed from the Christian Catholic Apostolic Church. Let me say that again. From the Christian Catholic Apostolic Church. And why I say that is because that's where the doctrine comes from. Basically, when you go into the history of this whole flat earth, now, first I want to clarify something. I never said that the ancients didn't believe in a flat earth. What I said is that the arguments and that the theories and that the position that he's going to come from is the modern perception of a flat earth, which comes from Samuel Botham, a.k.a. Parallax, and his understudies, which would be William Carpenter, Dr. Michael Heiser, Paul H. Seeley, and a few other scholars, which are basically classified as Christian scholars or biblical scholars. So now, you know what? I want to jump into something because he did. Actually, when you look into the ancients, when they gave their understanding of the earth, it wasn't based off of a mathematical formula. You're not going to show me a Mesopotamian artifact or Egyptian artifact that says basically X, Y, whatever mathematical formula that they presume to use today. You're not going to show me no resemblance of that. So now I want to get into Genesis 11 since I mentioned that earlier. So now I want to start at Genesis 11 verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. So everybody know about, if you know the Bible, you know about the story. This is talking about Babel. Now I'm going to jump to verse 4. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. So now they want to build this tower. They want to build this tower real high if they wanted to reach unto heaven. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. So now when you look at this, it's saying a city and a tower. So it's not just a tower as most people like to assume. It's a city and a tower. So basically, when you get into the understanding of this, is basically a large scale of it's something that you would say was like a twin tower that fell, or whatever the largest building in the world is. So now I'm continuing my reading. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do, and now nothing be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. 2, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So now when we see this, it didn't say anything about knowledge. It didn't say anything about what they knew, what they perceived, something that was spread around. It just said their language was confused. Pardon me. So now when we jump on, matter of fact, I'll just continue reading. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of the earth, and they left off to build the city. Basically, when it says, and they left off to build the city, speaking of the city that they were building, because when you go into the Hebrew of build is basically something that the word. Let me see what it is real quick. The word so I can pull it up. There is. Sorry, pardon me. Let me pull that up real quick. Pardon me. The word there is banah. When you look at the word banah, which is H1129, when you look at banah, it literally means to build, establish, cause to continue. So when we read this, they were actually in the process of building it, so we get the full understanding. Not saying that it was fully complete, but they were in the process of building it. So now, when we get the understanding of that, we know, all right, if you're at a large scale, if you're on the top of a large scale tower, you're gonna see the horizon of the earth. So now, when you're looking out, your eye is perceiving what it is, and that's exactly where this doctrine came from. It wasn't that they had some type of mathematical equation. It was from the understanding that they brought with them from this dispersion. So now that I'm done with that aspect, sorry for taking so long. Let me get back into what I was doing before. I'll skip on from the Tedic astronomy, because the next thing I want to go into was the moon phases. I'll save that for the cross examination. But I'll go into another understudy of this man Samuel Robotham, where this modern flat Earth come from, and his name is William Carpenter, who lived from 1830 to 1896, and he actually helped with the creation of the book, The Tedic Astronomy. And he was an understudy influenced by Samuel Robotham, and he was an English printer basically. He was he was one of the earliest members of the Flat Earth Society, and he was a Christian spiritualist. And now the thing about him was that he actually believed that the Earth was flat and square. And now books that he wrote he published himself. Called one of them is called Theoretical Astronomy Examined and Exposed, Proving the Earth is Not a Globe, and that's an 8-part book. And to sum it all up, he called it Common Sense. And another book that he made, 100 Proofs the Earth is Not a Globe. And basically, in both of these books, as you could tell, he tried to debunk that the Earth is not a globe. And I want to zero in on that 100 Proofs one, because in a lot of his so-called proofs, which is most likely where, as I said before, Tazapanya arguments will come from versus the flat Earth, versus the so-called spherical Earth will come from. So now I want to go to, and you could like I said, just as the other one, you can't find this one on Sacred Text, but if you go directly to the Flat Earth Society website and you go to their libraries, you could pull up this book, and it's an edition from February 1895. All right, and I'm going to go to, matter of fact, I want to start from proof 3 instead of reading anything else, because I see how quick time goes by. I was just saying that. So I want to go directly into some of his proofs. So now in proof 3, find that real quick, because he has a large index. Give me 1 second. All right, proof 3, I'll read that real quick. Surveys, operations, and the construction of railroad tunnels or canals are conducted without the slightest allowance. So now basically he's saying that construction is conducted without keeping in mind curvature, basically. Although it is taught that it's also allowance as necessary to cut and prove that Earth is not a globe. So now basically this is an assumption straight out of plain air. And how I know that is because I work construction. I'm a unionized construction worker. In my years as an apprentice, it was mandatory for me to take a course what is called line and grade. Now, line and grade basically is a tool that basically it's a mathematical tool that we use to actually how can I explain? Matter of fact, I'll just bring up the definition so now the grade, also called slope, incline, gradient, pitch, or rise of a physical feature, landform, or constructed line refers to the tangent of an angle of the surface to the horizontal. It is a special case of the gradient in calculus where zero indicates gravitational level, and basically that's gravity, the so-called horizon, the plane line, zero. A larger number indicates higher or steeper degree or tilt, often
people, once again, you're officially inside the Lions Den debate arena. The big talk for you is the earth the globe according to the Bible. That's the topic of this debate for those just joining in. Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? The number is 646-716-7320. And remember, you can call in live. We like to hear from the people out there. So if you're going to have any questions or comments, once you call in, you got to press number 1 and stand by for the public Q&A. We want to hear from the people out there. So if you're going to have a question, once again, press number 1 and we'll add you in the conversation later on. But let's go back to Tazapanya. We're going to go to the second rebuttal. That's going to be 8 minutes each. Go ahead.
All right. I don't know who this Sam guy he keeps talking about, but I'm familiar with William Carpenter and I'm familiar with the Zetetic book. But whatever he's talking, he's really not refuting something. If you tell me that I'm making a claim by an author which you're reading straight from, then refute it. Because when I'm bringing out information about is the earth flat, I'm cross-examining that information with the mathematics that go with the earth being a globe. So since he's talking about mathematics and I'm getting something, this is a fact right here. Okay, the Statue of Liberty in New York stands at 326 feet above sea level. On a clear day, it can be seen as far as 60 miles away. If the earth is a globe, which the formula for the curvature on a globe will be 8 inches times the distance squared. All right, it's 60 miles away. All right, that would put the Statue of Liberty at an impossible over 2,000 feet below the horizon if the earth is a globe. So with your mathematics, you're going to have to bring mathematics that back the earth in a globe. But back to my scriptures, since everything the brother just said had nothing in correlation with what I'm bringing out, nor has he refuted anything. But height and depth, I'm going to go into Job chapter 11, verse 8. It is as high as heaven. What canst thou do? Deeper than hell. What canst thou know? All right, this is Job chapter 11, verse 18. So according to the scripture, there's a height to heaven and there's a depth to hell. You cannot have a height to heaven in a ever-expanding heliocentric globe-based universe. You can only have a height to heaven on a flat earth with a dome over it. All right? Job chapter 11, verse 9, the next verse. The measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. It doesn't say longer than the sphere and broader than the curved ocean. All right? You can only have length and width on a flat, level, stationary plane. All right, this is Job chapter 26, verse 10. All right, it says, he compassed the waters with bounds until the night and day come to an end. On the flat earth map, if you're familiar with one, the outer bounds are made of ice, and the waters are literally compassed with an ice boundary that the sun goes around the earth, circumnavigating locally from east to west. All right, the night and day can only come to an end where day and night reach the firmament. All right, so night and day cannot possibly end on a globe ball model. All right, it would be absolutely continuous. All right? So we got Job chapter 38, verse 4. You know, all these scriptures I'm going to are in reference to the earth being flat. All right? Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare if thou hast understanding. All right? Isaiah chapter 48, verse 13. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. All right, I shared this earlier to prove that the earth sat on pillars. All right, if the heavens stand up at His command, then the heavens are a dome and it's a solid structure. Okay. Another important scripture I want to get to is Isaiah chapter 66, verse 1, which is blatantly crystal clear. All right, Isaiah chapter 66, verse 1. Thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye build unto me? And where is my place of rest? All right. Matthew chapter 5, verse 35. Nor by the earth, for it is His footstool. Acts chapter 7, verse 49. Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. All right. What does a footstool look like? How can you mistake a footstool to being a globe? A footstool has pillars on it. All right. So the scripture says heaven and earth is a footstool. Your average footstool has a circular disc with sitting atop 4 pillars. All right. So next, I'm going to go into simple scriptures right now. This is Exodus chapter 20, verse 4. All right. It says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or is in the earth beneath or that is in the water under the earth. Isaiah chapter 42, verse 8. I am the Lord, that is my name, and my glory will I not give to another, neither my praise to graven images. And how many people look to that damn globe and say, look at the work of God? All right, the globe is not in the scriptures. All right, the Most High did not make a globe. Okay, so a globe basically is a graven image because it's depicting the earth, and we were forbidden not to make graven images because just like Cesare Borgia has indoctrinated people without even opening his damn mouth, that has done the exact same thing because the globe indoctrinates without even speaking. All right, this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. Mark chapter 13, verse 25. And the stars of heaven shall fall, and the powers that are in the heaven shall be shaken. Revelation chapter 6, verse 13. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Now, everybody has been brainwashed and indoctrinated into believing that these damn stars are far, far away and that they, but the scriptures say they fall, all right? The universe that we see outside is dome-shaped, but it's small enough to contain all the stars that circle around this stationary, flat earth, all right? And like I said about the whole universe, you look in ancient Hebrew cosmology, all right, which is science and the origin behind the creation story that Genesis portrays, points to the earth being flat. You ain't going to see no ancient Hebrew cosmology of in the beginning God created a globe. That's not in the scriptures. And the scriptures say don't even add to the scriptures. All right? Many of these illustrations will show the earth sitting on pillars and a dome on the flat. All right? It's a stationary geocentric universe where all the stars inside the firmament are going around the earth. All right? That's why even in Genesis chapter 1, verse 14, it says, let there be light in the firmament, all right? In the firmament where the sun and the moon and the stars are, all right? Not orbiting some Milky Way galaxy, all right? Psalm chapter 96, verse 10, before my time run out. Say among the heathen that the Lord reigneth. Worlds also shall be established that it shall not be moved, all right? Now, this scripture can be used to support a bald earth, but it refutes to claim that the earth revolves around the sun, all right? Psalm chapter 9, verse 6. His going forth is from the end of heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. If the sun has a circuit, then it's not the center of the universe. All right? If the earth was established that it cannot be moved, and the sun traveled across the damn Milky Way, then the sun would fly off from damn visual appearance from the earth, and we will never see that mug again. All right? With that, I rest for my next time I get back on this mic.
Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? That's the title of this debate. Again, want to hear from the people out there. Make sure you call in. Well, I say people are already calling in, but make sure you press the number 1 because we want to hear from you guys. The number is 646-716-7320. We got a lot of people on social media checking out the show, and appreciate the people on social media that are sharing it on their personal page, making the comments. We appreciate the fact that you are spreading awareness of Debate Talk for You all over social media. We appreciate you guys. Thanks. So let's go to my brother, Ahmawar, and again, it's the second rebuttal. That's going to be 8 minutes. You can go ahead, brother.
Alright, I'm gonna try to make this quick because for some reason when when you study and you feel like you're gonna have so much time, but it's not enough to let all this out. Like I said before, the brother Tazapanya, he it's that Catholic Apostolic Church doctrine, brother. There's no way to get around that. I'm going to refer to those scriptures, believe me, but let me go back into what I'm going into. So now, line and grade, basically. So now I gave the definition for grade. So now, basically, to give a brief summary of what grade is basically the line in which you measure a slope. Like, for example, if you're building a road and then it's going up a hill, it got some type of curvature or however you call it. It has to be measured so that you know the rise up. That's the whole premise behind line and grade. Rise and run. The run is the horizontal line and the rise is the vertical line. So now, if you were, let's say, digging through a tunnel, basically, if the earth is flat, essentially you'll be able to just go straight through the tunnel and then you come out on the other side, no problem. But now, the realistic part about that is that you have to measure the rise and run. Now, if you on a higher vertical plane on the entrance of that tunnel, your rise would basically be at a lower state, whereas then you would be measuring down on a vertical decline. So now, the whole process of trying to say in proof 3, going back to the book of 100 proofs, is basically flawed. You can't measure that. Now I'll try to run through these real quick because I want to get to those scriptures because it seems as if that's something that everybody would want to hear. The debate is according to the Bible. So I'm gonna go to proof 4 real quick. Proof 4. Give me 1 second. Proof 4. There are rivers that flow for 100 of miles towards the level of the sea without falling for more than a few feet, notably the Nile, which in 1,000 miles for a foot. A level extent of this extent is quite incompatible with the idea of the Earth's convexity. It is therefore a reasonable proof that the Earth is not a globe. Again, this is pure assumption, and the explanation in this is due to the model that I accept rather than an absolute perfect circle globe. Actually, I believe that the Earth is an ellipsoid. Now, when you get into that, it's still a sphere, but it's not a complete circle globe as the people would say. And the Bible actually does support this claim, and we'll get into later. But now, ellipsoid basically is let's look at a ball, right? You look at a basketball, but now you squish both the north and the southern poles of that ball just a little bit. That's how the Earth looks, according to science. And that would explain why there's only a 12-foot drop, because you would have to look at the placement where Egypt is and the equator. Now, that's a mathematical equation that we could get into later. But other than that, if you was to ask that type of question, I would have to ask you, if it's flat, why is there a drop? Like, how far does the drop run? Is it 12 inches, which is actually a foot? Is it 12 inches the span of the actual Nile? Is it one part that's a 12-foot drop? Is it from A to B? Is it from A to Z? Is it from X to how long is the span of this drop? All right, now I'm gonna jump to 5. Proof 5. The lights which are exhibited in the lighthouse are seen by the navigators at a distance at which, according to the scale of the supposed curvature given by astronomers. Now, I want to make a note. I don't subscribe to NASA, so now I'm going to continue. They ought to be many hundreds of feet, in some cases down below the line of sight. For instance, the light at Cape Hatteras is seen at such distance, 40 miles, that according to the theory, it ought to be 900 feet higher above the sea level, of the level of the sea, than it absolutely is in order to be visible. This is conclusive proof that there is no curvature on the surface of the sea. And he continues on. Again, this is another complete theory, because back in the 1800s they had no topography. Sorry. So now when you take in account topography, basically topography is I'll bring the definition. Topography is the ocean surface has the highs and lows similar to the hills and valleys of the earth land surface depicted as topographic map. Variations called ocean surface topography or sea topography, also dynamic topography, are mapped using measurements of sea surface height relative to Earth geo. So now when you understand that, basically it's saying that the ocean has different levels to it too. So you have to also take into account the levels of the ocean. So why isn't he adding that into his mathematical equation? So now proof 6, just to try to hurry up and get to the point. Then basically this is one of the oldest rebuttals. The ship sailing off that sea. And when you go to the Flat Earth Society website, they held an experiment where they actually watched the boat go off that sea, and they started to expound on the line of convergence, which is dealing with the eyes. So now, when you go into that, basically it's trickery of the eyes. You can look into this. Yourself, but basically it's the trickery of the eyes. And then when you see the line of convergence, basically the bottom of the ship always disappears. You don't constantly see the bottom of the ship. So now going on that we're witnessing. The experiment was basically a camera zoomed out where a woman was filming a boat, and you still see that the bottom of the ship disappears no matter what. According to them, it's supposed to be a mirror image where the whole of the ship basically still has its placement, but it's just that you don't see it. It makes no sense. This is why it's hard for me to explain to you. It makes no sense. The bottom of the ship still disappeared. And then when you look at other
is the earth the globe according to the Bible? The number is 646-716-7220. Ahmawar, it seemed like your phone was going in and out. I don't know if you got it on speakerphone or whatnot, but it was kind of going in and out like, the last few minutes of the debate. But, just letting you know. So let's go to Tazapanya, and this is going to be the third rebuttal. And after this rebuttal, we're going to go to the cross-examination. Part of this debate is the third rebuttal is going to be 8 minutes each. Let's go to Tazapanya. Go ahead.
All right, so quite frankly, brother, just came empty-handed to the debate, and his sources aren't even credible. He's naming the Flat Earth Society, which anybody among the knowledge of the Flat Earth knows that organization is basically run by Freemasons, and it's basically satire towards the Flat Earth, and it's basically a site for misinformation. And his brother just made a claim about the sea level, so let me just go into that, and then I'm going to go back into my scriptures before I lose my train of thought. But basically, it's all about your visual perception. You're not going to be able to see a boat floating out into the ocean because at some distance it's going to become a mirage to where your eyes will not even pick it up. All right, so this whole sea level argument is, he just said, it's a lot of stuff he doesn't understand, can't explain. On the globe, what is sea level for? You know, we know that rivers flow down to the oceans to sea level, but on the ball, you know, how would water flow down to the oceans if the oceans have an incline, you know, due to the curvature of this ball? All right, that don't make sense at all. Okay, the oceans would destroy the land completely if the earth was round and somehow the water managed to stick to the surface. All right, if that's the case, rivers would constantly push on the land until they cut through right through it. You know, this is how water behaves if it's on a slope and meets a barrier on its way. You know, that means that if there's an incline to the water, then you wouldn't even need wind to sail. All right, you would just go down with the flow on your globe. All right, because that round surface gives you the incline. So that don't make no sense. Okay, water always finds its level. Okay, so back to the scriptures that I was bringing out. I'm going to touch back up on Isaiah chapter 22, but I'm going to read more of the scriptures. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. All right, people who follow the globe love this verse because they don't even realize that there's a difference between a circle and a sphere. Isaiah knew the difference between a circle and a sphere because he described one in Isaiah 22 and 18. All right, it says, Isaiah 22 and 18, he will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball. All right, so why didn't Isaiah use the same word in Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22 in chapter 22, verse 18? All right, because he knew that the earth was not a ball. All right, Isaiah knew that the earth was flat or disc-shaped, and it had a hemisphere above it called the firmament and pillars underneath. Okay, so next I'm going to go to Psalms chapter 33, verse 14. I really want to get done with these scriptures before I get to the cross-examination. From the place of his habitation, he looked upon all the inhabitants of the earth. All right, if you're on top of the North Pole, you can't look at all the inhabitants on the earth. Okay, Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22 again. It is he that sitteth upon the circle, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. If you're outside a heliocentric universe, then how will we appear to be grasshoppers? The entire galaxy would just be a speck. All right? But if the earth has a hemispheric firmament dome enclosing its inhabitants, then we would appear to be grasshopper if it's he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth. All right? So this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. All right, for there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, and insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3. Let no man deceive you by any means. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 6. Let no man deceive you with vain words. If you're deceived into thinking the earth is a globe, then you have put yourself in a box, and you have limited yourself to the understanding in the world you live in and in these scriptures. All right? In Isaiah 40 and 22, it says, and he spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. If you look at a tent right now and Google what a tent look like, it's a dome-like structure. So how in the hell can you draw a comparison of a tent to a globe earth? All right, this is Job chapter 37, verse 3. He directeth it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. Daniel chapter 4, verse 11. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all earth. Today, when I went outside today, the moon is in the first quarter. The moon is 50% illuminated. I saw the moon and the sun at the same time. So if there is a tree in between the moon and the sun, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to see it throughout the entire world. Although this is not literally speaking, it's still figurative, all right, to a flat earth, and you cannot deny that, all right? So Proverbs chapter 30, verse 4. Who hath ascended up into heaven, or descended? Who hath gathered the wind in his fist? Who hath bound the waters in a garment? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name, and what is his son's name, if thou canst tell? All right, there's ends to the earth, what the scriptures are saying. There's no ends of a globe earth. All right, you can only come to ends on a flat, level plane. All right, this is Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 10. O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and in my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come upon thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. All right, so here we are today, you know, and there's an epidemic of people telling the truth about the earth being flat, you know, because all this knowledge has been kept to us from the indoctrination of education systems and not even being hip to seek this type of knowledge, okay? All right, so all these people are telling the truth about the earth being flat. And, you know, the generations that lived before us, that's inherited these lies and those that subscribe to these ideologies, all right, they're not going to be more hip to that. They're going to side with the globe before they even consider the fact, okay? Because those that will not stand for nothing will believe in anything. Let me close real quick. These are the four winds of the earth, all right? Jeremiah 49:33. And I will bring the four winds. This is Daniel chapter 7, verse 22. And behold, the four winds of heaven stroke upon the great sea. Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. And he shall send angels with great sound and a great trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds. All right? So there's a jet stream that connects North America with Europe, and it can be proven that even airlines attempt to fly in the jet stream to conserve fuel. If you do research, there are two jet streams, high and low in the northern hemisphere, high and low in the southern hemisphere. All right? How could the prophets who wrote the scriptures know about these jet streams if they were only discovered in 1920 when planes could fly high enough to discover them? All right? So with these four winds, it basically means that our dome-shaped flat earth has a natural cross-ventilation system, and that's spoken of in Revelation chapter 7, verse 1. All right, when it says, I saw the four angels of the four corners of the earth holding the four winds of the earth, that it should not blow on the earth, nor the sea, or any tree. All right, jet streams wouldn't even work on the globe earth because they would frizzle out quickly and never reach any type of level of consistency. All right, with that, I'm rest, and I'll be back for that cross-examination. Hello? Hello? All right, well, if somebody can hear me. Oh.
Yeah, apologize, man. We had technical difficulties right there. A little glitch on the switchboard. Apologize for that. But we back. Of course, we got some more debate for you guys. Again, that number is 646-716-7320. Again, excuse the technical difficulties. Sometimes it happens on Debate Talk for You Radio, but the show must go on. My brother actually his call dropped. Ahmawar, if you're out there, just call back. My brother, call back. Press number 1 when you get a chance, and then we'll add you back in the conversation. Hold on. Let me see if this is the brother right here. Stand by for a second. Hold on. Nah, it's called. Nope, that's not him. All right, brother, we're waiting for you to call back, man. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand by, and I'm waiting for the brother to call in, and we're going to continue this debate. Once again, I see people pressing number 1. Don't go nowhere. Just stand by. We're going to get to your people and hear what you guys got to say. We love hearing from the listening audience out there. If you're on social media, Blog Talk Radio, we want to hear what you guys got to say about this particular debate. Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? We're just awaiting my brother Ahmawar to call in, and after that, we're going to get this debate going. So stand by.
Welcome to the planets of debates. Debate Talk for You Radio.
This one's for the fans out there all across the globe. This is Debate Talk for You Radio, and I'm your host, Sal Showtime. And I want to thank each and every listener out there for sending in their donations, supporting the show, keeping us on the air. Everybody know that Debate Talk for You is funded for the people, by the people. So once again, I appreciate everybody out there that's been sending in their financial support. I just want to let people know about the live event that we're going to do in 2016. Of course, want to have everybody out to show your support. We have thousands of listeners on the radio. And check out Debate Talk for You. But if you want to see it live, it's got to be funded by the people. So go to the website, www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. That's www.gofundme.com/Debate Talk for You Live. It's going to be the first live event for Debate Talk for You, the Lions Den. Come see it live 2016 in the summertime. But we need the support of the people out there. So once again, go to the website, show your support. One love.
You are now inside the Lion's Den. Welcome to the Beat Talk for You Radio.
All right, people, we are back once again. It's the Big Talk Radio, and I appreciate everybody that's tuning in. And more and more people calling in via phone and via Skype. I see you guys. I see the social media activity. We appreciate you guys for checking out the Big Talk Radio. Let's go back to my brother. Let's go to Ahmawar, and after that, we're going to have a cross-examination part of this debate where each opponent has prepared questions to ask each other. And once you ask your question, you're going to give your opponent 1 minute to answer the question. Once the 1 minute is up, you're going to hear the sound. That means it's time to go to the next question. So, see my brother, he's back. Let me just do a radio check, make sure everything is good. Ahmawar, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I didn't know what was going on for a second.
Yeah, it's cool. All right, man, so you got 8 minutes, brother. Go ahead.
All right, so now I'm going to just jump right into it. I had a lot of information I tried to bring out about this book that William Carpenter had, but I'm going to have to get directly into the scriptures. So now I want to start off with the pillars. So now he started off 1 Samuel 2 and 8. So let's get that. 1 Samuel 2 and 8. He rises up to pour out the dust and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among princes to make them inherit the throne of glory. The pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he has set the world upon them. Now, he is saying that this is talking about pillars literally under the earth, right? So now when we look at this word, which is the word for pillars, which is H4690, matazawak, basically it means molten support column. So now when we go into the root word, H6693, tazawak, basically it means constrain, press, bring to straighten and press. It's basically is insinuating rulership. So now if we really want to get the true understanding of the scripture, we have to jump back up to verse 6. So now verse 6, the Lord killeth and maketh alive. He bringeth down to the grave, he bringeth up. The Lord maketh poor and maketh rich. He bringeth low, lifteth up. He raiseth the poor out of the dust and lifted up the beggar from the dunghill to set them among the princes and to the earth let me read that back. And to make them inherit the throne of glory, for the pillars of the earth are the Lord, and the Lord has set the world upon them. So now when we look at this, we have to ask, is this actually talking about pillars? Let's dig deeper. So now let's go to Job 9 and 6. Because this is not talking about pillars that's literally holding up the earth. So now when we go to Job 9 and 6, which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble. So now, is this literally talking about pillars trembling? Like pillars that's holding up the earth trembling? Does pillars tremble? No, it does not. So now let's go to Job 26 and 11 so we can get more edification on what these pillars are talking about. And now one thing we have to take into account is that there's 2 different Hebrew words for pillars. So now you have matazawak, and then you have H5982, which is Ahmawar, which means pillar, column, upright of smoke, synonymous with the pillar of smoke that the Most High came to Moses with. So now when you look at the root word to that is Ahmad, which means to stand, remain, endure, take one stand. So now is this describing an actual pillar? So now let's read further into Job 26 and 11. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astonished at his reproof. So now if it's pillars, why would physical pillars be astonished? So now we have to think, now is this talking about physical pillars or is this being symbolic for something? So now in order for us to get the real understanding of what this is talking about when it's talking about the pillars of earth, we have to go to Revelation 3 verse 12. And this is going to seal the deal. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my God, and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, cometh down out of the heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. So now, basically, when we get the full understanding, is talking about rulership. The pillars is talking about the people who hold the uprights of the earth. That's what this is talking about. It's not talking about literal pillars. So now that's scratch one for the pillars. Because once you bring down the legs of the doctrine, the whole thing crumbles. So now we're going to go into this whole doctrine of the footstool. So now we're going to go to Isaiah 66:1. Thus saith the Lord, the heaven is my throne and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that ye shall build unto me, and where is the place of my rest? So now if Tazapanya want to go on and say that earth is in the shape of a footstool due to this description, I will have to ask, is heaven in the shape of a chair? Because when we go into the word for throne, which is kasa, H3678, it literally means seat, royal power, but then the figurative meaning is honor. So is this figurative or is this literal? So now when we go into footstool, which is ragal, H7272, which literally means foot or leg, but when we go into the root of this, which without the vowel points, we pronounce it the same way, regal, which is H7270, it means to go out on foot, spy out, go about, a talebearer, slander, explorer, and this is synonymous with the works of what the Most High does. See, now we see that this is actually figuratively speaking. This is not a literal description of how the earth looks. So now when we really interpret this how it's saying, it's really saying heaven is my resting place, dwelling, as when we look into the definition of kasa, and then when we look into the definition of regal, the next part is saying, and earth is my field, as an exploration, where I do my work, where I explore the book of Job, chapter 1, and what Satan did. Satan came to the Most High and reported to him where he said, I'm going to and fro the earth. That was his exploration. This is what this is talking about. It's not talking about the earth is literally flat. So now I want to jump off to Matthew 24. Basically Matthew 24:29. I'm trying to wrap it up. Basically, it's talking about the stars falling. I mean, if you ask me, that's not talking about literal stars. It's talking about missiles. There's plenty of precepts to back that up. Like I said before, the circle or ball in Isaiah 40:22, for example, it's just a contradiction to the whole doctrine. Like for example, Proverbs 30:4, Job 37:3, Daniel 4:11. It's like a complete contradiction. Jeremiah 40:49 36, Daniel 7:2, Matthew 24:31. It's like a complete contradiction. So what does it really stand? What is it you really stand on? Is Earth a square or is it a circle? You know, it's not really concrete. And if I could grab something real quick, I want to grab Proverbs 8:27. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the earth, and when we look at compass, the word for compass is literally sphere. The word kawag, and basically it means circle, compass, a sphere. So now when we look at my brother Tazapanya want to argue compass, but there's no flat compass. You can't produce a flat compass. A compass is three-dimensional. You can't get a flat anything flat from that just because it's, when you look at a compass, it's really.
All right, people, once again, it's Debate Talk for You. So now we're going into the cross-examination part of this debate. We're going to start off with Tazapanya asking questions to Ahmawar, and after this, we're going to go take an intermission break, 8-minute intermission break, and then we're going to go to my favorite part of the show, public Q&A time, where you, the listening audience, can call in live with your questions, your comments. I see people person number 1 already. Stand by. Don't you go nowhere. Stand by. We're going to hear from you guys. Stay in your place. Don't press number 1 again. If you press it twice, it's going to take you off the switchboard, and if you try to press it again, you're going to be at the bottom of the list of people that's already pressed number 1. So just stand by. We're going to get to the public Q&A. We're going to get to you guys. But let's open up the phone lines for the cross-examination. Let me open up the phone lines right now. And Tazapanya, you can go ahead with your question. Okay.
All right, I want to get right back to what he just said. He just said that the compass was a sphere. When you look in Chewag, it's Strong's H2287, and it says a circle or a compass. It doesn't say a sphere or a compass. Anybody in the listening audience that has a compass or know what a compass look like, a compass is flat and it has a dome-like structure and it has ends of it. There's no compasses that are globes. All right. So my first question to Brother Ahmawar is, since the Earth is a globe, is water part of the Earth, or is the Earth in the water?
I wouldn't say the Earth is the exact globe. I say, as I said before, that the Earth is more of an ellipsoid. Water is a part of the Earth.
Ellipsoid?
Yes.
Okay. So is the water a part of the Earth, or is the Earth in the water?
To answer that, I would have to say that the Earth. It depends on what you mean in that context. Like when you say Earth, do you mean dry land Earth, or you mean the whole?
I mean the dry land and the whole globe ball. If I'm looking at this oblate, spheroid, or ellipsoid, whatever you want to call it, if I'm looking at it, is the water a part of the Earth, or is the land in the water?
Well, I mean, when we read Genesis chapter 1, we see that the Earth came, meaning dry land, came out of the water. So I would have to say that the Earth is a part of the water.
Okay, so, but how does that correlate to your shape of the Earth being a globe when that's not even written out in Genesis?
It doesn't change, because I mean when we read
Okay, so I just want to read the scripture real quick. This is 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 5. All right, it says, "For this they were willingly ignorant of, that by the word of God heavens of old and the earth standing out of the water and in the water." All right, so the earth, according to the scriptures, is in the water, meaning that in Genesis the earth was without form and void. All right, and you just said with your own mouth that the earth came out of the water. So, and where does the globe come in?
I mean, to tell you the truth, I mean, that argument right there could go on both sides, because, I mean, the scripture says plainly that the earth came out of the water. Like the earth was brought forth out of the water. So, I mean, I'm not really understanding exactly where you're trying to go with the question. It could go both ways.
I'll go to my next question. Okay, so you said under your model, the Earth is an oblate spheroid or ellipsoid, right? You said your model, the Earth is stationary, right?
Yes.
Okay, so under your model, would you say that there's an International Space Station?
Yes.
So in saying that there's an International Space Station, you would have to adhere to gravity, correct?
Yes, I do.
So how do you adhere to gravity on a stationary Earth when it's an oblate sphere?
It's more of a force field thing. It's dealing with magnetic energy that's in that's all throughout our hemisphere. It's a buildup of the molecular structure that even brought the elements together, as we read in Genesis 1. That same pressure, what they call it.
Okay, real quick, I'm trying to key in on something real quick. You just said the Earth was an oblate sphere, right? But it doesn't spin, correct?
Correct.
Okay, why is the term coined as an oblate sphere? You know that term? Let me just expound real quick. So I
mean, to tell you the truth, I know why they. To tell you the truth, not to cut you off. I know why they use it, because they say it's that shape because it's spinning. I understand the direction you're going in, but
are you graphing together a conglomerate of heliocentric and geocentric doctrines just as far as a foundation for the debate? That's what I'm asking, because there's no balance, and you saying that the Earth is an oblate sphere, but it doesn't spin, but there's gravity and there's a space station.
Basically, to paraphrase and make it quick, the Most High said in the scriptures, no man shall be able to figure out the works of him from the beginning to the end, and I'm sure we both know that's in there. So now I'm not sitting here trying to say that I completely subscribe to Newtonianism, but what I'm saying is that there's enough proof for us to know that, all right, there's gravity because there's some type of force that pulls me back to the earth, you know? And
okay, so I just want to interrupt real quick. I'm reading something out of the book. You were just talking about how I was pushing Christian apologetics or Catholic apostolic church, whatever. But you're telling me you don't subscribe to Newtonism, but that's the same type of measuring stick. You're cross-examining me with both of them being Europeans. So real quick, out of that book that you've been talking about the whole night, it says the hypothesis of a universal force called gravity is based upon and was indeed invented with a view to support another hypothesis, namely that the earth and the sea together make up a vast globe, whirling away through space, and therefore needing some force or forces to guide it in its mad career. So control it as to make it conform to what is called an annual orbit around the sun, being that the calendar we subscribe to today is based on that globe. It's based on heliocentrism. But you're subscribing to gravity, you're subscribing to oblate spheres when those are part of the heliocentrism model. So you can't have it both ways. You can't merge geocentrism with heliocentrism ideology. That's what I'm saying. It's kind of a hypocrisy, and it kind of contradicts all the claims that you're making, being that's your standpoint.
All right. First, I want to say. I want to. All right, cool. First, I want to say I don't completely subscribe to geodesy. You know, the whole study of the Earth shape as modern scholars know it. But what I can say though is that I subscribe to what the Bible substantiates. See now, like when it comes to gravity,
you're subscribing to what the Bible substantiates with the binoculars of these heliocentric ideologies. That's what I'm trying to show to you right here.
All right. So let me
Tazapanya, give him a minute to answer. He has a minute to answer the question. Go ahead.
All right, cool. So now when we read in Genesis chapter 1, right? Let me pull it up real quick. Genesis chapter 1. Right. And sorry, pardon me. This is Genesis chapter 1, verse 9. And God said, let the waters under heaven be gathered unto one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. So, I mean, what Newtonianism called gravity, that's what I use to explain this. I'm not saying that their exact method is what it is, because when you ask me, Esau is a liar. I don't trust nothing Esau says. You know?
Next question.
All right, so my next question is basically gravity doesn't exist, and what I'm trying to say is with gravity and you believing in the space station, what is holding the space station up if the space station is 200,000 plus miles in the sky?
The same thing that hold up any airplane. It's the power of the mechanics that's able to lift our weight. Because when it comes to gravity, basically the understanding of the gravity is more than just mass that weighs us down. And then when you understand the mathematical principles of that, you can actually manipulate the effects of it by basically using, let's say, like an airplane, for example, that could carry a capacity of X amount of weight, but then it got the jet power to move the way it moves. International Space Station operates similar to that.
Okay, because my standpoint on gravity is that it doesn't exist. And based on simple mathematics and equations, if you fill a balloon with helium, a substance lighter than nitrogen, oxygen, and other elements which compose air around it, the balloon will immediately fly upwards. If you fill a balloon with hydrogen, a substance even lighter than helium, the balloon will fly up even faster. If you blow a dandelion seed out of your hands, a substance just barely heavier than the air, it will float away and slowly but eventually fall to the ground. And if you drop an anvil from your hand, something much heavier than the air, it will quickly and directly fall straight to the ground. Now, this absolutely has nothing to do with gravity. The fact that light things rise up and heavy things fall down is simply a natural property of weight. You know, that's very different from gravity. Gravity is basically a hypothetical magnetic-like force possessed by large masses.
All right, people, we still in the cross-examination part of this debate. Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? We're going to go to Ahmawar to ask questions now to Tazapanya, and after that, we're going to take an 8-minute intermission break, and we're going to come back to the people that's listening over social media, over the phone, via Skype, all across the globe. We want to hear from you guys. Again, you know that number by now, 646-716-7320. Dial that number, simply press number 1, and we want to hear from you guys. And by the way, the show is archived. You can always go back and go check it out. You can also go to iTunes, subscribe absolutely free, Debate Talk Free Radio. Never miss another episode, so make sure you check it out. So let's go to Ahmawar, and he's going to ask questions to Tazapanya. Go ahead.
Hi, my first question to you would be, how big is the sun?
I would say that you cannot measure the sun. Even the scriptures tell us this. But what I will say is the sun is not 93 million miles away according to heliocentric doctrine. If I would take an estimation of how far the sun was or how big the sun was, I would say the sun is no bigger than the moon and no farther away than 3,000 miles.
All right, cool. With that answer, I will have to ask you, even though you did give some assumptions, I will have to ask you, is it possible to measure the distance from Earth to the sun?
I would say it's possible, but it would take a lot of methodology.
How could we reach that goal to measure the actual distance of the sun if we don't know the size of the sun?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can come up with a scientific method to use as a benchmark to make a estimation, but I'm not leaning towards any type of mathematical equation to give you a definite answer of how far the sun is away. But I will tell you that the sun is a local luminary, and the sun itself on the flat Earth cannot light up the entire flat Earth.
All right. According to your global module, right? Is Sheol hell? Like, is Sheol like literal hell, like a place, like an underworld?
You said is Sheol hell?
Yeah, Sheol.
No, from my
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, from my understanding, even in looking at Hebrew cosmology, I never looked at it as a underworld or anything. At most, the best way that I would even explain it probably would be areas of oil, but that may be a reach.
What contains water?
What do you mean, what contains water?
I mean, when we look at the Flat Earth module, we see, you know, most of them have Antarctica as a giant ice barrier holding in water. So do you subscribe to that?
Yeah, I ascribe to that because mainly throughout the whole debate, I let it be known about the ends of the earth and how the Most High compacts the earth. And I subscribe to the same model that no matter where you are on the earth, if you head south, you run into Antarctica. I don't believe that Antarctica is at the bottom of the earth and the North Pole is at the top of the earth.
All right, cool. I'll leave that for a little something later. Can you explain the moon phases on the flat Earth?
Oh yeah, simple. So today we had we're in the first quarter. You know, I'm pretty sure we both subscribe to the Sabbath, which is predicted by the new moon. So today will be the 8th day according to the scriptures. You have the moon, which is in its first quarter, 50% illumination. Basically, when the sun and the moon are at the same altitude, one half of the lunar surface is illuminated, and it's pointing towards the sun. All right, this is called the first quarter. Likewise with the last quarter, to whereas when somebody would look up at the sun, they would see a shadow cutting the moon in half. All right, that's a boundary between the illuminated and the unilluminated hemispheres, which is called the terminator. When the moon is below the sun's altitude, the moon is dark and a new moon occurs, which you could definitely see last week if anybody observed the new moon and the waning period. When the moon is above the altitude of the sun, the moon is fully lit and a full moon occurs.
So how would you explain the exact curvature if the Earth was indeed flat?
What do you mean, explain the curvature?
Like if you look at the go ahead.
I'm saying, are you talking about like mountains and valleys and hills?
No, I mean if you look, like as you brought up, like if you look at the waning, the different phases of the moon. When you look at the exact shape, the roundness that consumes part of the moon, how do you explain that with a flat Earth? Like is that expounds upon a few questions. But
okay, so let me just answer this before you go into the next question. In my perspective, the moon is also flat and horizontal and parallel to the Earth. I believe that the moon is self-illuminated. It's not a ball, or it's not even solid, because you can easily see through the moon. You know, most afternoons. Even today, you can see the blue sky right through the moon, or even the craters of the moon. All right, so basically that destroys my theory of ISIS. I mean, the International Space Station, and somebody land on the moon, because ain't no way you're gonna land some Freemasons on that. All right, even on the night during the waxing or waning cycle, you can even see stars and planets directly through the surface of the moon. This is documented in religions. You got the Star of Islam, which is a star cult in a crescent moon. You got the Ottoman Empire. It's found on the flags of Algeria, Libya, Malaysia, Pakistan, Singapore, Tunisia, Turkey. I can go on. It's on the coat of arms in countries of Croatia, Germany, Ireland, Poland. So basically, the stars and planets have definitely been seen through the moon. But today, NASA and astronomy and the world full of.
Next question. Yeah.
All right. So just to clarify, the moon doesn't spin, right?
You said the moon doesn't what?
The moon doesn't spin either, right?
No, I mean, you can look on any type of pictures of the moon over a long period of time. You only see one side of the moon. That's the only side you've ever seen of the moon. It's just
Go.
The moon rotates flat and horizontally and parallel to the Earth. So it may seem it rotates, but it does not revolve. It does not spin.
So now I have to ask, especially with the lighting of the sun via a flat Earth, with the moon just revolving, also flat. And you say that it itself is not spinning. How do you can't get moon phases, because you will constantly be seeing one face of the moon, one face of the sun, and it'll just be a continuous cycle until they collide. Not collide, but they cross paths every now and then. But you can't. It's illogical. You're not gonna get a moon phase from that idea. Let's say, for example, if you take a ball and you dip it in some oil, and then you turn the lights off, and then you just do a continuous circle, you're still gonna see that same circular motion, which would be what you claim as a flat moon. I'm not understanding how you're coming to that understanding.
You got another question?
I'm just trying to get you to expound on that, because it's not really making sense to me.
So are you saying that the moon does not reflect light? Are you saying that the moon reflects light from the sun?
Well, I mean, the moon is its own light, but does it reflect light also? I believe so. because when we see the moon phases, we see one side of the moon where it's still lit but it's dark. But then we got the other side where it's brighter. Like this is why I say I deal with scriptures. I deal with what I can see with the eye. I don't like to trust what Esau says. So that's why I'm saying. If you see with your eye outside, even when the moon is at 50% visibility, you still can see through the moon. I mean, this is documented. It's nothing new or strange. That's why I told you, even on the Islamic flag, you see a crescent star between the moon. I mean, so that's existed for even thousands of years. You know, the knowledge of you being able to see with your naked eyes stuff through the moon. You see the blue sky through the moon. When the sun revolves around the earth, you still see that blue sky after the sun moves. All right, so, I mean, would you not say that, I mean, I can't ask you a question right now, but in that same logic, the sun and the moon are local, and they rotate around the earth. Just like you put a plate on the table and you spin it, that's how the moon is seen as it rotates on its circuit throughout the earth. You won't see another side of the moon. It's the same side of the moon you've been seeing for the existence of all humanity. I guess with that, I'll resolve my question.
Alright, people, we're going to take an 8-minute intermission break, and after that, we're going to go to the listening audience out there. We want to hear what you guys have to say about this debate. Is the earth the globe according to the Bible? I know you know the number by now. Though I got to repeat it, 646-716-7320. That's press number 1. And we can add to this conversation later on. Now, again, I see people that's been waiting. They've been standing by for the beginning of the show. I appreciate your patience. We're going to hear from you guys in order. I'm going to take your questions. But, again, press number 1, and hopefully we get to you and hear what you guys got to say about this debate. But we're going to take an 8-minute break right now. Stand by. Don't you go nowhere. We're going to be right back after these messages. Stand by.
Welcome to the planets of the beats, the Beat Talking Radio.
What it do, people? It's your boy B. Lit Dive, and I'm chilling over here with my man, Sal Showtime, man. And I'm just here to let y'all know that there's only one place that you need to go to hear the word from the word, man. And that's at Debate Talk for You, man. I'm going to slow it down, man, because a lot of people slow. I speak fast because I'm from New York, but, I'm going to slow it down, man. That's Debate Talk for You, hosted by my man, Sal Showtime. You dig? Keep it tuned, man. You already know what it is.
Peace and shalom. This is Imuna Yisrael from the Sunshine State, and I am tuned in to Debate Talk for You, the place where you can get intellectual exchange with no profanity. I love it. One.
So, Shalom, Call Halal Yahweh Shem Shai. It's Brother Chief Priest Alazar Bun Lawyer, a.k.a. the Gorilla Hebrew, representing Exodus 17:15, a.k.a. the Sector of the Sakari. And you know where I'm at. Every Friday, the Lion's Den with Sal Showtime on Debate Talk for You. You can catch me on there often, ripping somebody's head off, tearing down some false doctrine. Big shout out to all of the Debate Talk for You family and listeners and supporters out there. Keep supporting the movement. And, beautiful edification is getting put out to the masses right now. So again, shalom and call halal Yahweh Shem Shai.
Hey, what's up? It's Michelle from PA, checking out Debate Talk for You Radio. Shout out to Sal Showtime. God bless.
Yeah, buddy. This your boy LeBron Campbell, a.k.a. Bust the Bible Like a Rifle. I just want to give a shout out to my man Sal Showtime. Keep doing your thing on Debate Talk for You, where everybody want to hear the best debates around the globe.
Peace and assalamu alaikum. This is Raheem Ali, your expert investigative reporter, checking out the Lion's Den Debate Talk for You with your great host, Sal Showtime.
No love in this place full of wickedness. Yeah, you kiss the Moloch in return for what you interested in. When the smoke clear after the burning of the innocence, then you realize it's not really what you think it is. The scriptures blanket me, it's getting cold, can feel the wind in there. Moon reflecting off like it's crystals in every single tear. In this place where the strongest can meet defeat. When you cry instead of wipe your tears, they rather call you weak. They always come and go, usually after they get their fix. And they always leave you broke, looking for pieces you can never get. They must be heaven sent. That's how you feel after every kiss. They did fall from the sky, but Jude 1:6 is what you dealing with. From the
got love to love. You ain't got love to girl, I'm just trying to say I'm from the city.
Look, people say these souls for the riches and it's nightly. In that great city, and I use that term lightly. With eyes like mine, future destruction when we sightsee. Pinpoint guarantee, not just a might be. Looking up and praying that them chariots just take me home. Babylon, that prostitute with way too much makeup on. She can make you royalty with a false crown. Marvel not at her, cause she can bring the Hebrew hawk down. Coming from the city where you get no love, talking death to the beast. All we wanna do is just chill and make peace. They waiting for us to die, and all we want is some peace. Coming from the city where you give no love, talking death to the beast. Every minute you strong, that means she very weak. Planning your demise, and she never sleeps.
Girl, I could change your life, but you heard it.
From another realm working as one, with Satan at the helm, and we about to bust. The powers that be, they can't beat the power that's in us, so we not giving up. Strong spiritually don't mean nothing. If the devil's staring it goes in one ear and not the other. The devil said you can't have one story and not have the other. Now you giving sympathy, but shoot on the other foot. If you was dying, he wouldn't even waste his energy. You can't stop one. You trying to change the heart of a person who ain't got one. Sign a contract in blood, then you destined to fail. You gain the whole world just to make it to hell. You started from the bottom, then you made it to the top. But funny thing is, you never could tell.
My name's Kiaja, and if you want to hear the best debates in the world, come check out Debate Talk for You, hosted by my dad, Sal Showtime. Bye.
All praises, all honor, all glory to the supreme intellect of the universe. This is Nasi Yashuvel of Shomrei HaTorah in Atlanta. And if I'm not reading my Torah or suplexing some false deity, I'm listening to my man, Sal Showtime, and Debate Talk for You Radio. Beautiful. Keep doing the good work, brother, bringing forth the information and spreading that love.
Tribulation, just specific to Israel, not the imitation. I know your poverty and struggle can get irritating. In the house of Jacob, the Father Spirit, the installation kept it warm when it was vacant, cause he has the patience. It's a fight to the end, I pray you never fainting. But it's hard to keep the love in the world of hating. You gotta play every game, no simulating. Single mother, 3 kids, had to still start. Who don't need riches but a man with a big heart. Just praying it be a little different this time. Fell in love with 3 men who had the same mind. Crying every day, hoping that she make it out. She will feel better if she just erased out. Just take it one day at a time this year. Worry about tomorrow when it get here.
Dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
All right, once again, we are back. This is Debate Talk for You Radio. I'm your host, Sal Showtime. And I know you guys enjoying this debate, taking down your notes. But right now, this is your time, people. This is your time to call in with your questions, your comments. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. You know, a lot of times, a lot of my special guests, you see them on YouTube. You may see them in lectures, things of that nature. This is now your time to actually interact with the special guests and let your voice be heard and ask your questions and your comments. So once again, the number is 646-716-7320, and I appreciate everybody that's here live. Check out Debate Talk for You Radio, calling in with their questions and their comments. I see the switchboard is lit up, so we're going to go to the people right about now. And again, just a reminder, if you didn't call in early, if you didn't hear the show earlier, there's no foul language. You got to keep it clean, keep it professional. We're going to get as much questions as possible. So let's go to the first person up. Let's go to 832-655. You're live on the air. 832-655.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing? What's going on?
Good. Not too much. Enjoying the show. I just got a couple quick questions. First question. I just wanted to know, like, if let's say we consider the fact that we consider the Earth flat, who does that hurt? Like, who's that gonna hurt? Like, how is it gonna hurt you to consider that? Like, you know, or what does that change? And also, I just wanted to comment on something I noticed between the debates. Like, when the guy was trying to, the guy who's defending the globe or the oblate, I guess it's like an oblate ball of water that's not spinning. I want to know, like, well, okay, so with that, like, when he was defending, whatever he was defending, he didn't really deal with the evidence that was presented. What he did was, like, tie what he was saying. Like, he would tie what he was saying to something that someone a long time ago said and then slander that person instead of dealing with the evidence. Like, I would have much rather heard him deal with like the evidence or have some refute for that instead of spending so much time talking about some guy, that was in the past that just agreed with something that was started way before him. Why did there even need to be so much time spent on talking about this guy or these other people instead of just dealing with the evidence that we can gather from our technology and resources now? But
all right, let's let Ahmawar answer the question. Go ahead, brother.
All right, to start off, my main purpose in going into Samuel Botham and William Carpenter was to show that these are the only sources where, in today's modern age, that this flat Earth theory comes from. Now, basically what I was trying to do, I wish I had a little more time. When you gathering this information, you think you have more time to bring it out. But what I was trying to do was bring out most of the points that these men made, which was either in comparison, similar, or almost the same thing as to what the brother Tazapanya was going to bring out. So now, when you go into this book, basically, like I said, it's basically the Bible for the whole flat Earth argument. As soon as you go through this book, it's
I understand that.
Easily refutable.
Sorry, but I understand. Am I allowed to still talk or answer my question? Or
if I allow it, you got it.
But what he's what he's saying, what he's the evidence that's been presented now as far as the visibility to the Statue of Liberty in that certain distance, and it should be way below with the curvature. That's just even though if we have never read that guy's book, if we never heard about that guy, and we heard these statistics or whatever, and we were to travel to these places and check it, we could agree with those. So why not deal with the statistics and try to explain those instead of trying to deal with someone who talked about similar things in the past? So I would have much rather heard someone give an explanation for these things, like how you can see these things at such great distances without any curvature, instead of talking about a guy that isn't here. I would rather heard someone deal with the information, because I'd love to know, how that happened.
All right, basically that's what I did when I gave the comparison when I went into the whole lighthouse explanation from the Zetetic Astronomy book, because it's the same thing. Lighthouse, the Statue of Liberty, it's all the same thing. That's what I'm saying. That it's how could I say? It's just a comparison. Now when we go into the understanding of the convergence when it comes to how the eye operates, which is basically when you understand the convergence of the eye, it's a muscle reaction. When you're witnessing something, for example, that's further distance away, where your eyes is just a muscle reaction, where your eyes just completely go not cross-eyed, but it's like it completely binoculars into what this object is. So now, of course, with your sense of sight, you're gonna have to make up the distance of it, or whatever you're perceiving. It's just a mind trick. It's not like there's any other formula that Tazapanya used that wouldn't have been used in the book. That's my whole premise of bringing out the book. Basically, everything he used or everything he would have used is synonymous with that book, whether he believe it is or not.
Now, let me bring Tazapanya in. I heard some stuff in the background. That's why I had to mute you, Tazapanya, but I'm opening your line now. Go ahead.
All right, so what the brother was saying, he made an excellent point. Instead of dealing with the logic at hand, regardless of what anybody wrote, if you want to make that the benchmark, there's tons of evidence in parallel to the quote-unquote, under his understanding, the pioneers of the flat earth theory behind the mathematics and stuff like that. But if I can show you a picture today of a lighthouse in Egypt, all right, which is only 60 feet in the sky, and it's being seen 58 miles away, according to modern astronomy, the curvature is 2,182 feet below the line of sight. It should be below the horizon. So deal with that fact and refute it in correlation to your oblate sphere model. You didn't do that. You just pointed to a reference of some authors that came up with the same type of mathematics but had different examples.
You can respond briefly, Ahmawar. You can respond briefly, guys.
All right. Just to be quick about it. All right. The whole premise that you're coming with still don't explain what I brought out earlier about the line of convergence, when in actuality the bottom of whatever object still disappears, regardless of whatever mathematical equation you want to use, no matter how far you are, no matter what it is, the bottom still disappears, which insinuates curvature. And
listen to what you just said right there. You just said the bottom will disappear. I just said a lighthouse that's 60 feet tall, all right? It's being seen 58 miles away. Whether you say the Earth is a globe or an oblate sphere, something has to account for more than 2,000 feet of curvature if the lighthouse only stands 60 feet. There's nothing that you've said on this debate to explain that type of mathematics. So unless you can refute that and show how that's seen with the line of convergence on a globe Earth, that doesn't hold any weight when you just brought out earlier about not being able to see a boat far away, but you didn't say you cannot see the bottom. I mean, that's hypocrisy. It's the law of perspective. Things disappear at a certain distance, all right, and get closer to the ground. It's simple.
All right, hold that thought, y'all. Let's go to the next question. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. We like to hear from the people out there. Get your questions and your comments. Let's go to the next person. Let's go to 646-643. You're live in the air.
All right, shalom. Can you hear me?
Hey, shalom, brother.
Hey, how you doing? I just wanted to make a statement and maybe ask maybe one or two questions. As far as the Earth being flat, I'm one of the brothers that does subscribe to that view, and I think that apart from the source that you named, which you're trying to downplay, you can also read the Book of Enoch. I don't know if you subscribe to that, chapters 70 through 74. It gives you pretty much the instruction or the rubric for what is described as the geocentric model. So those are a few other verses that you can go to. And as far as the question, I just wanted to ask, how do you account for gravity if your oblate spheroid doesn't spin? Because according to the supposed model, the spin on the axis of the globe, it's supposed to create the gravity due to the core spinning as well. So on your model, how does gravity work if the oblate spheroid isn't spinning?
All right, to answer that, on my model, it would have to be pressure. Just pressure from the atmosphere. All things that came together, as I read earlier in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9, you see that there was some type of force that was used to bring all things together. Now, I believe that same force is what is tried to be explained when Newtonianism go into gravity. Now, right. When it comes to the Book of Enoch, no disrespect to you, but all disrespect to the writers, I believe that book should be burned.
Well, I understand a lot of brothers believe that, and I think that's because a lot of you brothers don't understand it. And that's why I said the geocentric model can be found in that book. So it sheds some intelligent light on some of the information that Enoch was trying to describe, so it gives it a bit of clarity. As far as your previous statement, can you repeat that again, right before you said the criticism about Enoch?
Which part?
Right before you had spoke about Enoch, you had said something, and I wanted to address it.
About pressure.
Oh, basically, I was saying that it's all based upon pressure, and I believe, to sum it all up, I believe that the Newtonian law of gravity is explained in Genesis chapter 1, verse 9.
Okay.
I don't believe that it's exactly Newtonianism, but I believe there's some type of atmospheric pressure.
All right, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. It's not Newtonian physics. It's not gravity, because Isaac Newton, didn't understand electromagnetism at the time. So when you research electric universe theory, or even the electric universe plasma theory, plasma being a conductor for electricity, it's a model that makes a lot more sense than the gravity model, which was a model that was created just to fill the gap to justify a theory. All of this stuff about us. Listen, your eyes and your senses don't lie to you. If somebody didn't teach you that you were spinning on a ball and that ball is spinning around the sun and the sun is spinning around the center of the universe, you wouldn't necessarily go out and see that in the world. When you step out in the world, the sun and the moon spin in the sky, so do the constellations, and you feel nothingness. You don't feel any inertia when you step out. So what I'm saying to you is this is heliocentrism or sun-based worship is a Freemasonic principle. It's Lucifer worship pretty much, and it's not applicable to the scriptures, not even to the canonized 66 books. Psalms 104 and 5. It tells you that the earth is stationary. That's not allegory. That's literal. It's stationary. It doesn't spin. When you walk outside, you feel no inertia.
Let's go to Tazapanya. Okay, you can respond.
Yeah, like beautiful points brought out by that brother. I spoke earlier on the hypothesis of gravity and the reason that people brought gravity, and that brother just chimed in on a point that I made earlier, that the hypothesis of a universal force called gravity is based upon and was indeed invented to support another hypothesis that the earth and the sea together made up a vast globe. So shout out to that brother, man. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
And
I just want to make one last comment. I wanted to thank both brothers, Tazapanya, for representing our belief structure on this behalf, and also the other brother for bringing the views that a lot of people have and some of the lot of questions that I run into as well when I try and disseminate this information. So I just want to shout out both brothers and great job.
No doubt. We appreciate you calling in with your question as well. Let's go to the next caller, though. Let's go to 910-489. You're live on air.
Yeah, this is about Israel. I'm out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. Shalom, everybody.
Brother. How you doing?
Shalom, bro.
All right, so that was a very hilarious debate. I enjoyed it very much. I also anticipated it, and Taz came through prepared and was spitting, and I was trying to keep up, and I kept up pretty well. I was also trying to keep up with some things that I disagreed with Ahmawar, but I was doing something else. I'm doing some other things with my business. But I just wanted to say that, and also that as I was brushing up on this topic, because I'm a kind of like a flat earther, but there's no real theory based on what I think, which is that we're inside the dome, and the ice barrier is around the edge, right? And then you got the ends of the earth that I keep running across in scriptures, right? So there seems to be a location or area that is outside of the purview of the what we know as Earth, where the heavens are, like where God resides and the angels reside on this body that he considers flat, and that the other brother considers an oblate spheroid. So I'm imagining a dome that is enclosing what we know as Earth, and that it is attached to a much larger body that could be I don't want to say a ball, but I don't know what shape it is. Could be flat too. So I want to hear opinions about that.
I mean, if I could just be brief about opinion with it, I would say I'm not one to give credit to the powers that be that they've encompassed the entire earth and have searched out everything throughout the earth. So I can't give it a no, and I would say that I would be open to inquiring more information about that. But as far as pushing to the masses, I'm kind of trying to confine a foundation to give to people, because the theory itself can get pretty broad. And you have a society out there called the called the Flat Earth Society, which is basically run by Freemasons. So basically, it's blatant satire, and some of the claims that they make is basically done at a position to be a gatekeeper to hold you outside of certain information and keep you on conspiracy-driven thoughts.
I mean, I really can't say much about what the brother said. I mean, he just made a statement, and I just want to move forward to hear what else anybody else have to ask.
All right, what's going on?
I mean, I'm sorry. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it wasn't really much to expound upon. I mean, the brother laid out where he laid out. I mean, it's just always a lot more to get into when it comes to the whole flat Earth theory. So there's not really much I could say about what the brother said. So I just concur.
Yeah, that's cool. Once again, it's the Earth a globe according to the Bible? Is the Earth a globe according to the Bible? Once again, this is your time, people. You have any questions? You have any comments? The number is 646-716-7320. As a matter of fact, I'm looking inside the chat room. Actually, I was looking in the chat room, and we have a question directly for Brother Tazapanya right here. All right, and it's from Milo Spear. How you doing, my brother? Welcome to the show. And it says, if it's possible that the Earth is a sphere, but yet the center of the universe, in other words, geocentrism with the spherical Earth, also, what is his opinion on a self-illuminating moon? I can read it again for you if you didn't get that.
You said what's my opinion on a you said what's my opinion on a self-illuminated moon?
Yeah, it says what is your opinion on a self-illuminating moon?
Okay, well, the scriptures speak that the moon gives out its light. It's the light by night along with the stars. So I said in the debate that the moon is most certainly self-illuminated, but I also made the claim that the moon is not a ball and it's not solid, and you can easily see through the moon during most afternoons with basically simple technology like a telescope. You can see the blue sky right through the supposed craters on the moon. So, yeah, I would say the moon is self-illuminated. The sun gives off a hot light. The moon gives off a more cool light. But I will say it's self-illumination. Self-illuminated.
All right, we have a general question in the chat room, just a general one. And this is from I Am the Universe. Welcome to the show. That person says, what is a globe? In your opinion, what is a globe?
You mind if I start off on that one?
Go ahead. Yeah, start off.
All right, I would say when we look at a globe, it's all about perception. Now, when we hear globe, as Tazapanya pointed out, it's that perfectly round circle that you see when you walk into that classroom the first time you go into school. But a globe itself is just trying to personify what is the actual characteristic of what the Earth represents. So, I mean, that answer could go either way. So I'll pass it on to Tazapanya.
Yeah, but I would agree that the globe in reference could be just exclusively pertaining to the Earth or the world as we know it. But I would also say that the twist of the perception of the word globe, Salat, that Ahmawar just said, is a spherical, a round object, no matter if it's perfectly a sphere or if it's oblate or an oval shape or pear-shaped, as many have said that pertain to the globe. So that's my answer.
All right, people in the chat room, keep your questions coming. I got some more questions for the brothers from the chat room as well. We got to go to the phone lines, though. We're going to come back to the chat room. Again, the number is 646-716-7320. Let's see. Let's go to 832-610. Live it in. 832-610. Live it in. Hello. All right, go to the next person. Let's go to 864-316. You're live on air.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is David. I'm calling from South Carolina. I just wanted to jump right into it. I, in the past few months, have really been observing the earth and the sky and the moon and the stars, and reading scripture and testing out, what I read with the heliocentric model versus a geocentric model. And most definitely, in my opinion, in my belief, that the earth is a geocentric model and that we're flat. And that it does have four corners, but the general shape of what we are enclosed in is like we're outlined by a circle. And we're most definitely in a dome, because in Genesis 1 and 6 said so, because he divided all of the water that's ever been in existence, and he separated them, and he put a space or an expanse or a firmament between them. And David attested to this in Psalms 148. It's a universal praise that he did. And he was basically, saying everything in the universe praise Yahuwah. And one of those things that he told to praise Yahuwah, he said, praise him, heaven of heavens, and you waters above the heavens, which makes sense because Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And when we go to Ezekiel 1:26, when he's having his vision, he sees some living creatures, and he says that above them, above the firmament, there's a throne, and that there's a man up there on the throne. So we have even a prophetic vision of there being living creatures with a firmament, and then above that there's a throne. And I wanted really quickly to go to the book of Joshua, chapter 10, and that is when Joshua and Yahshua are fighting the Israelites. And they are at a point where the sun is going down, and I'm going to this right quick. Joshua commands that the sun and the moon stand still. And, some people, to me, it's easy enough to take it at face value. It says Joshua commanded the sun and the moon to stand still, and the sun and the moon stood still. And it says not another day was like that in Israel. And it also is confirmed in the book of Jasher, and that's in Jasher 88, 63, and 65. And really quick, if you go to the book of Ecclesiastes, it talks about the sun going forth and rising and returning to the place at which it rose. So the scriptures are consistently pointing a picture of a still earth and the sun and the moon moving above us. When you look up and you see a bird, obviously it's moving. If you look up and see a plane, it's moving. If you see the clouds moving, it's moving. So why would the sun not be moving when we clearly see it moving? And also, in response to the person that asked about the moon being a light, Genesis 1:16 confirms that it's a light, and the Messiah, he confirmed it as well in Matthew 24, and I believe it's 29. I'm sorry, and he said the moon. Okay, sorry. And the moon shall not give her light. So obviously we know in order to give something to somebody, you have to have something to give it. So obviously when we see the scripture say that we have the moon as a light, you can look at the light and tell that it's glowing. And really quickly, my opinion on what the moon is actually doing when it's going through its phases, I believe that the moon is lighting up partially as it goes through a phase. So when you don't see it, it's not emitting any light. I do believe that it's translucent, that you can see through it, that it's not a solid structure for people to land on and stick flagpoles into and all that good stuff. My question would be to anybody, and I'm done after this. If the earth is a curve, why do we not see any physical evidence of a curve, such as when you go to the beach and you look at the horizon is straight as the edge of a piece of paper. And also, when you're on a plane, it stays straight. And you can look on YouTube, and you can look at people's amateur videos of them sending GoPros up into space, many, 70, 80 miles up, I believe. And some of them do have a fisheye lens, but you need to make sure that you look for the ones that specifically state that they don't have a fisheye lens so that you will see the straight edge. So can anybody, and even one of the callers, maybe explain, I guess the second one, why we don't see a curve at the horizon when we're at the beach, or when we're in a plane, or when people send their GoPro cameras up miles into the air and we see a consistent curve at eye level. And with that, everybody have a peaceful Shabbat. Thank you for taking my call, Sal.
Yeah, no problem.
I got a question for the caller, but I'll let Ahmawar go first.
Go ahead. Okay. Go ahead. Ahmawar, go ahead.
For starters, I don't subscribe to the whole theory of the Earth revolving. Sorry, I don't subscribe to the whole theory of the Earth revolving around the sun. In actuality, I do agree with you on that aspect. The sun actually and the moon revolves around the Earth, and just to briefly because you said a few things. Just to briefly go into your question. Basically, this goes back into what I said before. The whole thing about conversion, the line of convergence when it comes to the site. It's not. I don't know how further I could explain that. I mean, you just have to go into it yourself. It's just a reaction that the eye sees. It's like you said, if you go on YouTube, there's plenty of videos where you would see a person actually zooming in so they can get a clearer view instead of just an eye view. But then when you see the line of convergence, which is supposedly the true horizon, basically the bottom half always disappears. There's no explanation for this. Somebody could bring up whatever they want, but there's no explanation for why the bottom half still disappears. And then it continues to disappear, and it continues to get smaller the further it gets away. So now, basically, to answer in a fuller way your question, we personally, as humans without size, we're like a tiny speck. We're like a tiny germ that's on a gigantic boulder. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard somebody say this before. I'm paraphrasing them, but we're like a tiny speck of a germ on a gigantic boulder. So now, us trying to get up on this ellipsoid high enough to actually view curvatures is possible. I mean, we could measure it. We could measure out the Earth as much as we want, but for us to actually get high enough to see curvature or it's flat is impossible. Now with the camera, you mentioned like fisheye lenses and whatever lens you use, you have to get at least a 60-degree angle, no matter how high you get. Some people, let's say 100,000 feet, whatever it is, you need a 60-degree angle in which those cameras cannot produce on a wide enough scale for you to say for a fact that yes, this is a flat terrain that we're on. You have to actually turn the camera instead of actually getting a full in-depth view. Now, I mean, there's no other way to explain that. I mean, the camera is going to be thrown off. Your eyesight is going to be thrown off because of the muscle reaction due to convergence, viewing convergence lines. Is not something that you can accurately say that you can see or you can't see. So that's my answer.
All right. Shout out to that brother, man, because the brother admitted, and he was pretty humble when he came and said that 2 months ago he was looking into the flat Earth theory, and he weighed geocentrism versus heliocentrism. And it takes a person to be humble and to also not box themselves in and not let other knowledge in and be able to grow. It's about growing. And I believe that the brother Ahmawar is just a few months away from being a flat earther himself, because a lot of the stuff that he subscribed to is on the side of the flat earth side. So just keep trying, man. It's gonna come there. But I do have a question for the caller if he's still on, and
I'm here.
He can tell the people, being that he was already in the knowledge of following the Most High's ways, and where was he at for him to say, you know what, let me grow a little bit. Let me not be proud and accept the traditions that was instilled from birth. What led to you questioning that, and what emotions did you go through in gaining that knowledge, brother?
Well, if I understand you correctly, basically, you mean like what was my mindset or what I was thinking at that point where I started to maybe question it? I actually came across a video by mistake, and it was on a message board, and it was basically about NASA and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Because everything that I think you're the one that opened the show, and it sounds like most of the things that I talk about to other people, it sounded like you were saying the exact same things that I try to talk to other people about. But I actually gave it a thought. I'm not afraid to inspect things or check things out, and usually when things come to Scripture, to me, Scripture speaks very loudly, you know, with many things, and sometimes if we just let it speak, it kind of settles things, and just to take it at face value, sometimes it just makes sense. And I looked at the model, and I thought, you know, things that as a kid you think about but they don't make sense. Like, for example, right now if we're on the globe, there's people like sideways and upside down, and every single like which angle, but we don't know, but nobody seems to notice that. Like you said, why is water not rushing to the bottom of the globe? You know, like why do we never notice? Like, if, for example, if we go on a roller coaster, we know when we go upside down, but supposedly if we go to Antarctica, we can't feel that we're upside down on the globe. Like, it doesn't add up. And same for like the sun and the moon. You look at the sun and the moon; they're clearly both moving through the sky, and like it's kind of easy. You know, this is one of those things that it's not really like a salvation thing. It's just, you know, at the bigger picture, to me, it shows me just how much deception really is out there in the world. And for human beings to be able to pull one over on people, in my opinion, is very frustrating, and it's very sad in a way. Because some people look at flat earthers and they say, oh, well, y'all are crazy. But, you know, some flat earthers may think that globe earthers are just as crazy. But, you know, if you really look at it and look at it objectively, in my opinion, I believe that you will see it. And I've talked to my mother, you know, and I'm 28. So, you know, this is something that's happened in the last year. I grew up like everybody else thinking the earth was a globe. But when you look at it, like I said, look at the horizon, it's flat. Like there's just so much visual evidence to prove, you know, that it is what it is and we live on a flat earth, and that's it. Also, one more thing, in Revelation, let me see, I lost. Okay, in Revelation 4:6, it's talking about the throne in heaven, and see, it says also in front of the throne there was what looked like a sea of glass, clear as crystal. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures, and they were covered with eyes in front and back. My question about that, and I'll finish up, could that sea of glass be the firmament? Could that be the water that's dividing the third heaven from our heaven or from our atmosphere? You know, could that be the barrier, that sea of glass that Yahuwah is looking down on the earth through? Wouldn't it make sense that our Creator is looking at a flat surface, like when you draw, when you paint, don't you do so on a flat surface, you know, to create and look at it and be able to see it? Because, like, if you're looking straight at like an easel, you can't see what's on the back. You know what I'm saying? So things just kind of just make sense. And like the caller said, I don't know who it was, when you only think these things because we grow up thinking it. It's like Santa Claus. There's no issue with not thinking Santa Claus is real. It's only that you're lied to that he's real. So when you find out that he's not real, you move on with your life. But people cannot seem to really understand and take seriously the concept of the flat earth. But just question everything and watch plenty of videos and do research and read the scriptures and just look around, you know, observe as you live. Like, look up in the day, look up at the night, you know, just little things, you know, like obviously the earth, we were created for the earth and the earth was created for us. Like, it's for us. Like, we can't leave. Where are we going? We're not up in space flying around trying to get to water or trying to get to other planets, which are just light. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I apologize. Got like 5 minutes left in the show, brother. Got like 5 minutes left in the show. What that means, if you're listening on social media, if you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, once that time runs out, you got to go into the overtime part of the show. The only way you can hear the rest of the show is by calling in. The number is, again, 646-716-7220. Again, we only have like 5 minutes on the air, people, so if you want to hear the rest of the show live, you have any questions or comments, call in. Topic is the earth, the globe, according to the Bible. So we got a lot of people calling in. So let's go to the next person. Let's go to 413-204. You're live in the air.
Yes, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat
you hear me? Yes.
Shalom.
I have a question. Shalom. A question for Ahmawar. You say that the Earth is a oblate spheroid or ellipsoid.
Yes, correct.
Now, do you have a formula, a mathematical formula for the circumference?
No, I don't.
That answers my question.
All right. There you go. Appreciate the call. Short and sweet. All right. We actually have another question in the chat room. Where is it? Hold on. This is from Milo Spear again. It says, is the moon and sun flat? This is directly to Tazapanya. Is the moon and sun flat?
I've stated earlier that the moon is flat. Due to my observance, even from a personal level, I can't say whether the sun is flat or if it's a flat luminary or if it is spherical shaped, but it's like a ball of fire, if I may make it as loosely as possible. Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right, let's go to the next caller. Let's go to 773-640. Live in air. 773-640. You're live in air.
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How you doing, brother? Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, shalom, sir. Man, well, Shabbat shalom. I'm sorry I tuned in late, man. I was over there with one of my Warcaster brothers doing a show about, and it's funny because he's doing a show about fake sciences, pseudoscience. And, man, I got to fall under the category of it, man. I just want to say to my brothers, man, y'all know me, this Mikael and this right here. I'm good friends with a lot of the brothers who was closet flat earthers. You know, they just needed a little support. Thought they had people that believe like them, and then they thought it would work. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, sometimes I make mockery of it. And it's just a couple things, but the brother just made a good point. Whoever that is representing the flat earth, he said, you know, the more you study things on your own, you realize that you can lie to a lot of times. And that's true with all of us, that people Israelites. I mean, 90% of the stuff we always lie. So from that standpoint, I got to give us some respect because that's true. Now, here's where my problem comes in. It's some things I think we just make conspiracies for shock value, like shock and awe. Because we been lied to so much, we think won't nobody question it. But I have like 3 simple questions. They probably was covered already. Like I said, I missed it, and if so, I apologize. But first of all, when I called in, the brother was bringing up, he brought up the reference in Genesis. But then the thing, he skipped past it, and he said that the earth is flat. Well, it tell you that God shaped up the earth. And another term for that is form the earth. Well, flat is not really a shape. That takes no crafting to do that. That's why he considers himself to be a potter and with the clay. It don't take nothing to make a flat. You know what I'm saying? That's not really a shape. 2, now to make a tool, that's some real crafting. Now 2, latitude, altitude, and longitude. I've been asking flat earthers this for years. How do you explain longitude, altitude, latitude? If you know anything about the naval system or the air piloting system, it is impossible with a flat earth. And this is my last point. Now, this is hilarious. I really would like to know. I have family that lives in Alaska, and I know y'all know about it, but it can get like dark for months, and then it can get like daytime for months. And this is only possible because of the rotation of the sun as it relates to the slow rotation of the earth. Now, I would like to interject and say this is why I agree with flat earthers, that you don't believe everything that NASA tell you, because I don't believe that the earth revolves around the sun, the quote-unquote solar system. I believe it's the total reverse. I believe the sun revolves around the earth. But I do not believe that the earth is sitting still. I believe that the earth is doing a spin almost like a top, but it's in one spot. Now, this can be explained. This would explain why Australia While Alaska can stay dark for months or daytime for months, if the Earth was flat, I would really like to know what would be the scientific cause for the one reason getting the sun blocked out for months. Now, you got to explain that, because if you're looking at the shape of a flat Earth and then you saying the sun is moving, that is physically impossible. Okay, Shalom, you go ahead and ask Shalom.
All right, I got your last question. Can you repeat the first two questions for me real quick before I go in?
My first one was more of a assessment. You don't really have to answer that. I said in Genesis, it say that God shaped up the earth, or God formed the earth. Okay. And I was saying that flat is not really a shape. You know what I'm saying? You know, like a sphere, that's something, it takes some skill to mold, but not flat. And my second one was, how do you explain latitude, longitude, and altitude with a flat earth? Because if you know aerodynamics, you need a circular surface atmosphere to get to control latitude, altitude, and longitude. And if you just deal with a Navy system or air fighting system, that's easy to explain. So those are really my things: the latitude and how can Alaska be dark for so long if the Earth is flat. So just answer the last two to get the first.
All right. So Alaska, how can Alaska be flat? Earlier I said that the sun circumnavigates the earth east and west, contrary to what people would believe on a ball earth. So the sun and the moon circumnavigate east and west, and the sun passes from the Tropic of Cancer to the Tropic of Capricorn. And over the course of a year, the sun, as it changes on its axis, gives illumination to certain areas more than the other. I mean, I believe the case you're talking about, Alaska, getting like 23 hours of light, because I have a colleague that's actually from Alaska. That would basically be explained by the sun being closer to that region while it's circumnavigating. Because on a ball Earth model, it's pretty much cut, because, like, for example, today I could see the sun and the moon at the same time. That wouldn't be able to be logically explained by way of the scriptures and a globe model. Because if I'm on a globe, the sun's supposed to be on one side and the moon's supposed to be the light the moon is supposed to be the light on the other side. So with Alaska getting light, it's closer to the center, the sun. And the next question you said about longitude. Longitude and latitude is similar. It's basically on the same model, per se, of the globe, but if you make it flat, longitude lines are closer towards the North Pole, and they expand as you get towards the ice rim of Alaska. I mean, I can, I have maps that have longitude and latitude according to the Earth, and you can use that through examples of basically plane routes that are taken today by airplanes.
Okay, well, you know what, brother? I got to give it to you. That is the best. The flat earthers should be proud. Now, I got to go back and hear the whole debate. I know them brother had to get you if he was on them scriptures, right? The scripture support around earth. I can show that easy. But from what you just explained, that is the best attempt at explanation I've heard from flat earthers. So y'all just got a little of my respect. As long as it's you. What's your name, brother?
Tazapanya, bro. Appreciate that, King.
Oh, okay, I know you. I'm in one of them groups with you. Okay, shalom, Aqua. Let me say this last thing. You still did not really explain, brother. Now, you did it real slick. With you talking about 23 hours a day, and you talking about it being closer to the center of the earth. That still will not explain Alaska being completely dark, no sun for 2-3 months at a time. It will not explain that, because then that would mean, that would mean that the other near regions would have to stay completely dark for that same amount of time too, and it don't happen. It's almost totally isolated to that particular region of Alaska. So I ain't gonna beat you up on it. You know, we all got to study more. But I will tell you, bro, that was the best I've heard from the flat earther side. And like you said, we all gonna learn. And in the end of the day, when the kingdom comes, all these secrets will be revealed to us. But I still can't ride with the earth being shaped like no big DVD. But I still love you. Shalom.
All right, before we get to the next caller, the last point that he's made will be explained, because, yes, The regions according closer to the northern pole would have the same time lapse of sunlight as far as darkness when the season changed, because the sun would transfer from that tropic that's located closer to the northern pole, since the North Pole is in the center of the flat Earth, to the Tropic of Capricorn, which is below the equator. So it would transfer from light to darkness per se based off the seasons. So you can go to the next question.
All right, we're in the overtime part of the show. Let's go to 910-489. You're live on air.
Man, I forgot my question, bro. This dude is putting on a PhD class in this joint. I'm just learning. I'm learning from him. I'm his student. So so now that everybody knows this information very clearly, and how he explained it, and you can watch it again. Listen to it again and again and learn. Then you can now graduate from Bledo's school.
I got you, bro. I got you. All right, man. Well, I see we have a lot of listeners still checking out the show, but nobody else is pressing number 1. So if nobody else is pressing number 1, we can go to the final statements. Again, this is your time, people. You have any questions or comments, any last words you want to say before we go to the final statements? Just press number 1 and we'll add you in the conversation. Other than that, I appreciate everybody for calling in with their questions and their comments. And once again, guys, it's your time, people. So going once, going twice. All right. I guess we're going to go to the final statements part of the show. So let's go to Tazapanya with his final statements. That's 7 minutes. And go ahead.
All right. I just want to bring an example of the longitude and latitude on the Earth, and then I want to end off with something a little more in depth, and it deals with Hebrew numerology, just to chime everything home. So facts in real life, I posted this on my Facebook earlier this week. I have an article from the Huffington Post and Daily Mail in the UK about a Chinese airline flight that landed with an extra passenger after an expectant mother gave birth to a baby girl more than 8 weeks earlier. The Taiwan flight to Los Angeles flight was forced to make an emergency landing on Thursday after a Taiwanese passenger's water broke 6 hours into the 19-hour journey. On a globe-round spherical Earth, the route wouldn't make sense to do an emergency landing. Out of all places, they landed in Hawaii, coming from Taiwan to L.A. All right, so coming from Hawaii to from Taiwan to L.A., a destination they could have stopped in was Honolulu. All right, it wouldn't make sense if you look on the map of the globe. All right, they could have landed in Honolulu, and versus on the globe, if them leaving from Taiwan and their destination is L.A. and they end up in Alaska, that's basically the same amount of hours and the same amount of distance. All right, so on a globe Earth, it wouldn't make sense. But when you look on a flat map between Taiwan and Alaska, between Taiwan and L.A., if you draw a straight line, Alaska will be point blank in the middle. If you look at all of these plane patterns of plane routes, they fly in straight lines. They don't fly in curves. All right, and this is simple mathematics where I will end the debate. If you go to Psalms chapter 147, verse 5, this is something I researched and I found it pretty odd, so I'll put it in the debate. It says, "Great is our Lord, and of great power. His understanding is infinite." All right, so Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. All right, so that's Genesis 1:1. If you look at the first scripture of that scripture in Hebrew, all right, and if you take the number of Hebrew letters and you times that by the product of the letters, and then you divide that by the number of the words times the product of those words, you get 3.1416, which is the value of pi to 4 decimals. All right, and we should know that pi is the relationship of a circle's circumference to its diameter. All right, so you measure the circumference of any circle all the way around and divide that by the diameter, which is straight across, and you'll get 3.14, the value of pi, an infinite string of numbers. All right, so what the Bible is describing right here is clearly a circle and not a sphere. Only a flat, geocentric, stationary, flat, circular Earth fits this description. All right, so Genesis 1 is laying out the foundation in words, and behind those words, you even have a mathematical formula that portrays the authenticity of the text and describes the very shape of the earth. All right. Also, another note: sundials. I forgot to mention sundials. Sundials are one of the oldest instruments, and they're used to measure time. It dates back to the Egyptian period, around 1500 BC. It was also used in ancient Greece and Rome, all right, and in Central Europe. All right, it was the most commonly used method to determine the time, even after the mechanical clock was developed in the 14th century. The sundial actually was used to check and adjust the time on mechanical clocks until the late 19th century. All right, so it's also another ancient instrument to show that we live on a stationary, flat plane, and the sun is what moves around us. All right, how could these sundials work correctly on a spinning ball that's also spinning around the sun and still correctly measure time? Not to mention be used later in the 19th century to correct mechanical clocks. All right, so with that being said, I think it was a really good debate. I feel that I know that it's more of a following amongst people of biblical consciousness in seeking the knowledge and research behind the earth being flat in correlation to what we've been indoctrinated into believing that the earth was a globe. So with that, I'd like to thank Shao Showtime for letting me use his platform tonight. And all praise to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, and thank the brother Ahmawar for coming on and having this bill, because I think it was very fruitful, and I think a lot of our brothers and sisters would learn from this debate. Thanks, Shao.
All right, before we go to Ahmawar with his last word, somebody else press number one. Let me just hear what they got to say. I guess brief comment time. Let's go to 864-316. You're live in the air.
Hey, thank you for taking my call again. This is David from South Carolina. I just wanted to answer a question that a caller or an emailer or somebody asked about, who has the most to lose, or what is there to lose over knowing about the earth being flat versus the globe. Most definitely it will be control. It will be like earthly control. The powers that be, if they can fool you, just think about this and go on with your night and your weekend. If the powers that be can fool us with something such as an earth globe versus a flat globe, something so obvious to me, what else can they fool us with? That's so big, what other little things can they fool us with? And if we have a system or a government, because think about that, the government, Obama, NASA, all these credible worldly foundations are going to lose credibility and lose control of the earth. So they have everything to lose and nothing to gain from it. So with that said, thank you again, everybody. Y'all have a great Shabbat. Have a great night. God bless.
I appreciate that. I guess quick comment time. Some more press number one. Quick comments, 832-655. You get quick comments. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Todd? This was the first call. I was just calling to say thank you. I didn't know if my mic was still on. I was just calling to say I appreciate it, and it was very informative because it's an interesting topic, and I hear a lot of people say that it doesn't affect your salvation to whether it's whatever, I've heard comments like that, but it is interesting, and it does let you know, if we do figure out which one is not true, it'll show us who's been lying, who's been lying the most, or whatever. So it's important, you know what I mean, and it matters. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you hosting the show, and I appreciate both the brothers for answering my question. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I guess we got one more person. 646-643. Quick comments.
Hey, Shalom. I think I was the fourth caller. I just wanted to chime in on why it is important to understand that the earth is actually the center of the universe and humanity is at the center of the importance of it all, because the heliocentric model puts you on a ball of how many millions or trillions of them that are out there, and it's non-specific. It's not about you. You're floating on the outskirts of the universe, so you're made to look minuscule when the scriptures clearly puts you at the center point of the focus of everything that's going on. And humanity's decisions dictate and affect what's going on in this world. So our understandings alone, to who we give credit to, when you're subscribing certain effects that are given credence to these planets that are named after Greek gods we know are the fallen ones, then it once you understand the world is flat, it takes away the extraterrestrial argument, which takes away the deception that's coming forth and what they're trying to push on you guys now with Project Bluebeam. So just keep your eyes open and stay truthful and
don't be afraid. Not everything is crazy. Check out everything. Shalom.
All right, shalom. We appreciate that. All right, let's get some final statements from my brother Ahmawar. Once again, it's his first time here. We appreciate that. Let's go to Ahmawar. Go ahead.
All right. For my final statements, first, I would like to thank you, Sal, for having me on your show. It's my first time. Like I said before, you get this knowledge, and then you think you got more time to bring it out, but hopefully next time I'll be a little more persistent, and bringing it out like how I tried to execute later on in the debate. But anyway, one thing I will have to say is Tazapanya, he said something is that that kind of made me laugh, was that I'm a few months away from being a flat earther, and it made me laugh because we both know that there's a lot of aspects on this whole debate that we actually agree on. And we had, sides or whatever. And one thing, when he went into the mathematics of Ha being in Genesis 1, I completely agree with you on that, But the thing is, it's still an argument of that circle being an actual drawn-out circle or an actual square. When we look at what the word compass was translated as, which is also translated what's that Isaiah, what was that in Isaiah? But basically it's the same word. It's not insinuating specifically a sphere or just a plain circle as you draw. It could go either way. That's why I said I laughed at him, because he know I believe in that. But when we go into the whole doctrine of this what I said, a Catholic apostolic church, basically that's what it is. It comes from those scholars that I mentioned. That's the whole point of me going into that. His argument about a spherical earth is, do you believe in quote-unquote Esau and NASA? So now my argument is, do you believe in quote-unquote Esau flat earth? My perspective is, what do you perceive from your own experiments? And this is what I'm telling everybody else to do that's listening. Conduct your own experiments. Don't listen to none of these. And that's exactly what I do. I refer to the scriptures, and then I bring my perception out. Basically, the whole argument lies within one scripture, and Isaiah 40:22, Isaiah 22:18, as into what exact shape that is. Psalms 19. What exact scripture? What exact description is of a circle? So now, basically going back into bringing out that this whole thing is a Catholic doctrine. When we go into pillars, we understand that the whole setting up for the pillars is talking about a ruling class of men, which will eventually be Israel, as it said in Revelation 3:12. When we go into the dome, I haven't really gone into that. I ain't have enough time, but a dome, basically, I could meet you halfway at a dome, because the firmament. Now, depth and height, when they go into depth and height, there's no mathematical indication unless you want to go into the Hebrew and break down each letter. But I haven't seen that yet. Now, the what they call the foundations, that's the element. You could read about that in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken, starting at verse 38. I don't got enough time to go into that, but this is like I said before during the debate, this is a whole thing that someone has to still study for themselves. Like you have to go into that, even though I still, I gather my studies. This is something, and Tazapanya know that I straddle the fence with the whole idea, but what I actually believe is that it's a oblate ellipsoid, as they say. But either way, like I said, from the beginning of the debate, my whole argument was, is this whole thing biblical? And I believe I proved that it's not biblical, because there's no actual scripture that supports, like the scriptures that he brought out, even going to Isaiah 66:1. It's not talking about a description of the earth. None of those scriptures that he brought. As soon as you get that understanding that I brought out, and then you start to go through all the other scriptures he brought out, you'll start to see for yourself. And then when you go into the Hebrew, and then you start to really get the understanding, it's not really talking about the description of anything. It's symbolically speaking. Like, for example, footstool. Like, I went into the root word of that, go out on foot, and then when you really analyze what that's saying, it's not talking about a description. This whole thing is not biblical, and that's what the debate is about. Is this biblical? I showed from the beginning where it came from. It came from Esau. The mathematics don't come from the ancients. The ancients, they believed that it was flat because what they perceived with their eye from what they seen from the Tower of Babel, like Tazapanya continues to show up in his argument. No matter how many mathematical equations or whatever somebody say that they could draw some type of distance, for example, to the sun, it's irrelevant, because again, you have to make assumptions. Like, it's all about assumptions when you're trying to prove like certain distances from Earth. I mean, you can measure the Earth, but when you're trying to prove from Earth to a different planet or to the sun or to the moon or whatever it is you're trying to distance, you can't do it. It's all off assumptions. So I mean, basically that's the debate. I had a good time, and my first debate. So style again, and all praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. You know, double honors to all the brothers out there that push this truth.
Thank you for tuning in to Debate Talk for You Radio. I know that you enjoyed the show. Now I want you to go to the website so you can check out the schedule on a regular basis. Go to www.facebook.com/Debate Talk for You. You can check out the show via iTunes. Let's go to the podcast section and type in the search box Debate Talk, the number 4, and the letter U, and you'll get it absolutely free. Support the brand and subscribe. Of course, we're on Twitter at Showtime DT4U. That's Showtime, D as in David, T as in Tom, number 4, and letter U. You can send me an email at debatetalkforyou@gmail.com if you want to be a special guest, or if you have any questions or comments about the show. Once again, that's debatetalkforyou@gmail.com. Debate Talk number 4 and letter U@gmail.com. We appreciate the people out there that support the show all over the globe. Make sure you tune in next time and go to the website www.blogtalkradio.com/Debate Talk for You. It's another way to check out the show's schedule. Show your support. See you next time.
Big news! The new Sprint LTE Plus network is faster than Verizon and AT&T based on analysis of a recent study by Nielsen. And to celebrate, we're inviting you to join Sprint for the biggest offer in U.S. wireless history. Switch to Sprint and save 50% on most Verizon, AT&T, or T-Mobile rates. Yep, you heard that right. No gimmicks, no tricks. You have Verizon 6 gigs for $60, 30 with Sprint. And if you have 15 gigs for $100 from AT&T, 50 with Sprint. Even if you have T-Mobile's 10 gigs for $80, we'll give it to you for $40. And we won't force you to watch video in low def. Oh, and one more thing. We'll even pay your switching fees up to $650 per line, so you can switch to the Sprint LTE Plus network today. Visit a Sprint store or sprint.com/save 50%.
Offer coverage not available everywhere for discounted phones. Excludes taxes, surcharges, roaming, and premium content. Subject to new line $36 activation fee. Credit valid port-in. Plans may not be exact match. See website for eligible plans. Offer ends 1/7/16. Savings through 1/8/18. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Contract valid via reward card requires online registration.